Hi everyone, what a thrill to be here, live on YouTube, Box Nation on a Friday night from the York Hall Bethnal Green. We've got another terrific lineup of live boxing featuring some really talented newcomers once more, and a cracking looking fight at the top of the bill tonight. 10 rounds for the Southern Area Super Featherweight title. I'm Paul Dempsey, alongside me the one and only Ollie Bessel. Ollie's going to guide us through what's in front of us tonight. Why don't we start at the top, Ollie, with this really fascinating matchup for the Southern Area title, and it comes off the end of one of the, at least at area level, fights of the year in Britain, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to you off air before we started, a good old-fashioned area title fight live on Box Nation at York Hall. It's fantastic stuff, always great value for the viewers. And yeah, I mean, Numan came off the back of one of the Fight of the Year contenders, a hard-fought draw at Harrow Leisure Centre against Frankie Arnold. Nearly stopped him, actually, in round 3 of that fight, so he was a whisker away from picking up the belt. The fight ended in a draw, back tonight against a new opponent, but same goal for Numan to win that Southern Area title.
We should perhaps wish Arnold well, if this is really the end for him as well.
Yeah, we've told that will be it for him. I think a niggling injury, which has been ongoing, and I think he's had enough now. So yeah, very, very sad news for him.
Ollie, has Caswell learned from his previous setbacks, do you think?
We'll see tonight. You know, again, a big night on Box Nation at York Hall. Let's not underestimate the Box Nation brand for these younger fighters. Yeah. It's got so much history to it. Adds a bit of pressure, I think, as well to the fighters. So we'll see tonight whether he has learned. Tough opponent in front of him.
We'll talk about some of the real youngsters in a moment or two. I'm always tempted to put Jack McEwan into that category for various reasons. He's not a youngster, but then again, you know, nearly everybody's a youngster to me at this stage. But is he now in his right division? He comes back tonight at super middleweight. It went wrong, forcing his body down against Sam Gilly. Do you think there's a lot still to come from McEwan?
I think so. I think, look, Jack McEwan was on an upwards trajectory. He turned over from MMA to boxing. Everybody knows the story. He went over to Riyadh. He lost to Louis Green. That wasn't expected. Yeah. Came back, got a win, and then threw himself in at the last minute against Sam Gilly. He took that fight on a week's notice. Very, very, very tough fight. Got beat here at York Hall. So it's a rebuilding process for him. I think he's at the right weight now. Big things to come for him. But again, tonight, he's got to get that win. The pressure's on.
And the genuine youngsters, well, there's quite a few of them, as always, on these Box Nation shows, but I was very taken with the 20-year-old Jimmy Dean Wood. He has a lot of personality. That was on his pro debut in Maidstone on this channel, maybe 8 weeks ago now. He's on the card tonight. How quickly do they want to go with him, do you think?
Well, Francis Warren, his manager, is very, very good at keeping these young fighters active. That's number one. You know, they're out every 2 or 3 months, it seems. You see a lot of them fighting on the Box Nation cards. When it comes to Jimmy Dean Wood, look, he fought in Maidstone. He's a big ticket seller, great performance, got the win. But if you look at who's behind him, Francis Warren, he's got the Noakes brothers in the crowd, Moses Atauma, great team behind him. Not far away from a Queensbury promotional deal, I understand. So again, these Box Nation shows are almost like a stepping stone for these fighters. If he can show that he can do it again tonight, I don't think it's far away.
Well, it's an absolute academy, and that's why it's such a thrill always to be working on these shows. And the young man you mentioned is in the news yet again today. What an announcement at heavyweight. Moses Itauma, in one sense the pressure's now off, all the comparisons to beating Mike Tyson, etc., to the heavyweight championship of the world. It was a pile of nonsense in my view right from the start, for lots of reasons. Rightly, they are taking their time. But he's going to learn a lot in this fight against Dillian Whyte, is he not? Announced today for August.
He is, and actually I've just seen him walk into the building tonight, funnily enough. He's walked in tonight. Yeah, I mean, look, I think this is the fight that straps a rocket to Moses Atauma's back, personally. It's a tough fight, Dillian Whyte, of course. He's been in there with the best, but I just think this kid is one step above everybody. I think from talking to his team, he could go in there with the best now and put in a good performance, and they all think he'd beat everybody. So I think this is the fight that really straps a rocket to him.
I've got to say, I'm so privileged to be around all these great young people. The industry is booming in Britain like never before in my time, and that's quite a long time now. So it's all fantastic. But when we have a heavyweight division at the moment like we do, with young men like Moses Itauma and of course Daniel Dubois, it just creates so much public interest in the industry generally. So we're very thrilled about that. And of course the Dubois fight against Usyk is the biggest fight of the year in this country. Any updates on how it's all going, the preparation for July 19?
Well, look, I'm fascinated by this. I've seen some people online recently questioning whether this is a Wembley Stadium fight. When you look at the landscape of it, it's bigger than Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois at Wembley last time around. Alexander Usyk, undefeated, undisputed, heavyweight champion of the world.
Absolutely.
He's going to go down as the greatest of all time, one of the greatest of all times in 2 weight divisions. Across the ring from him, Daniel Dubois, resurgent Daniel Dubois, steamrolling through every opponent put in front of him, not just winning, but stopping his opponents. He could become the first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis, and in my opinion, if he wins at Wembley, he goes down as the greatest heavyweight of this generation, surpassing Anthony Joshua and Fury in terms of achievement.
I know why he may have been seen, Usyk, to have, quote-unquote, given up home advantage in one sense. He's a global superstar. He's used to wherever the next job is. If the contract's right, he's going to be there to fulfill his role in it all. But when Dubois has got the experience of the Wembley night already under his belt with such an amazing outcome for him, is that transformative for him, in your opinion?
I think that's transformative. I think Dubois, on top of that, is a very different fighter from the last time out against Usyk as well. We don't know how Usyk's going to react in that environment, you know. We all thought that Anthony Joshua was probably going to beat Daniel Dubois at Wembley last time. Daniel Dubois rose to the occasion. I know Usyk's not going to be in his home country, but will it be the same for him? Mm-hmm. Will Wembley bring out the best in him, or will it work in Daniel Dubois' favour? Again, fascinating fight.
And the great part about it is a crossover event in terms of British sport because of the incredible career that Ollie referred to from Usyk. The backstory, of course, Ukraine, and the geopolitics behind all of that. And in the run-up to the fight, do you see the public at large being gripped about a big Wembley fight? I go back all the way to Frank Bruno McCall. There was only one thought in people's minds that whole week. Could it be that kind of thing?
I hope so, and I think it should, because, you know, if you look at the turnout and the atmosphere in there at Wembley for Dubois AJ, I don't think that was half the fight that this is. I genuinely think this is one of the biggest fights in heavyweight history in the UK.
Oh, for sure.
And I think the winner goes on to absolute greatness if they're not already there. So, yeah, will the public be gripped by it? I have a feeling when we move into fight week, you'll really start.
Or even before that, I think.
Yeah, maybe so. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, at the moment, there's so many shows back to back on DAZN with Queensberry that you almost don't have time to breathe. I think now it is the home stretch into Wembley, and I think we'll start to see that atmosphere build.
Listen, you're my boss on these shows, really, and I think what you're trying to tell me is we're out of time in the build-up, and I don't mind that because we've got a cracking live show. Should we get on with it?
Let's get on with it.
Okay, Paul. So Ollie will be giving us all the news from ringside throughout the night. We've got Masood Abdullah joining myself and Darren Rees on commentary. Let's get on with it once more on Box Nation tonight. The action comes thick and fast always. First, we'll hand you over to our MC once more tonight here at the York Hall, Mark Paredes.
Welcome to viewers of Box Nation, the channel of champions. Please welcome into the ring from Poprad, Slovakia, Pavel Garage. And please welcome into the ring from Bromley, Kent, James Hawley.
So Mark Paredes has already called out Pavel Garage. Welcome once more, everybody, joining us live on Box Nation YouTube channel. And here comes James Hitman Hawley at light heavyweight. It's his 12th pro fight. In many senses,
ladies and gentlemen, our first bout this
evening
is a 6 3-minute round contest in the light heavyweight division. Firstly, fighting out of the red corner, having his 61st contest this evening, weighing in 12 stone 6, and tonight he wears the silver and green shorts. Please welcome from Poprad, Slovakia, Pavel Garage. And across the ring in the blue corner, unbeaten with 11 wins, won by way of knockout, weighing in 12 stone 8. And tonight he wears the pink and purple shorts. Please welcome from Bromley, Kent, James Hawley. Your referee is Rocky Israel from Chertsey, who will now give his final instructions to both boxers.
Lads, you already know the rules. Above all, protect yourself and obey my command at all times. Now touch gloves and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 3-minute rounds.
Seconds out, round 1.
So James Hawley, the hitman from Bromley in Kent at light heavyweight, back in action. And we're already halfway through 2025. So it's a warm welcome back to Hawley, and almost a case now perhaps of him being asked to start to get on with it a little bit. He turned pro here at this very self-same York Hall Bethnal Green in December of 2018. A nice run of 4-round points wins in a row to get him started. Then, of course, COVID hit. Stepped up to 6 rounds. Kept on going forward, but only 1 stoppage win even now, and that came against Bryn Wayne in a 1-round victory. The last 3 have all been points again. In fact, Darren, to go a stage further, he's pretty much won nearly every professional round that he's boxed so far.
Well, good evening to you, Paul. And yeah, you can really see why this is a well-schooled kid. He looks very confident, very calm, very collected, just doing everything which you'd expect him to do very well as he just moves around this very warm York Hall here in the East End. And it's always a pleasure here to watch a sport which we love so much.
Garage certainly loves it. This is professional fight number 61 for him, looking for his 10th pro win, but only his 2nd fight actually is 2025. Before that, I think if there was an accolade for busiest fighter, or more precisely in his case, busiest overseas fighter, I think he'd have been a real contender. Looking back through this record of the last few years, 2022, 11 fights, 2023 and 6, and in 2024 quite a lot. My maths isn't quite as good as yours, but he was very busy indeed.
The sport would
I think
be
it's 7.
But the sport would be a very different sport without these type of characters, wouldn't it, Paul? They are the backbone, especially to this small hall boxing, and he is that type of character who just keeps coming, and he's a great test, and he's a great part of the apprenticeship for people like James the Hitman Hawley. That's one thing for sure.
Hawley taking his time. I would say still that he's got time on his side at 26, but there is just the question mark now perhaps forming in people's minds. Let's see if you've got a higher gear. He hasn't started in a very high gear here tonight. Admittedly, again, Darren, you know, he's been out for, what, 6-7 months in his own right. And no doubt working hard. Hopefully he's been working hard.
Absolutely, and no doubt he'll have a game plan, and he will be doing everything possible to keep those in the corner happy and keep those heads nodding. But a good opening round, a confident one.
Confident, working his way back in. Darren Rees on commentary with myself, Paul Dempsey, and for expert analysis, in every sense, one of the brightest men in British boxing is also joining us tonight. Over to you. Welcome, Masood Abdullah. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What have you seen in that opening round?
Well, James Hawley did really well. He controlled the space. He didn't throw anything more than 2 punches. So in the next round, I'd like for him to step it up a little bit and see if he can actually cause some damage. Everything he did was probe, hit, probe, hit, probe, hit. If he just landed 1 or 2 more shots on top of that, it would look great. And possibly give him another stoppage. I think that's the part that's missing in this game.
For a fighter,
10
this
seconds.
is just about him gauging his distance in the opening round, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is. And I think he's gauged it really
Seconds
well.
out.
Now it's time for him
Round
to step it up.
2.
Second of a scheduled 6 rounds at light heavyweight. James Hawley from Bromley in Kent. And Pavel Garage, who's from Slovakia. Garage is now 38 years of age.
I like the fact that Garage is meeting him in the middle of the ring and he's not on that back foot. And even when you see Hawley come forward like he just did then, he soaks him up and he doesn't take a step back. And that is the type of fighter that we like to see visiting places like this.
He has held his ground very well indeed. He's not looking to run. He's not looking to make life difficult or awkward in any sense for Hawley. He's asking him basically to show his wares and show that he's a quality young prospect. But always with a guy like Garage, remember this, everybody, there are a few wins scattered on the record. There's always that possibility, and Hawley needs to be mindful of it, that like that, just like that, Garage may think there are one or two little chinks in this young man, and I'm going to, at the very least, put manners on him tonight. But if I got lucky, I might be able to land something with real consequence. So it's no gimme, this, for Hawley. But I think that's exactly what Masood Abdullah was looking for between the rounds. Just starting to let the hands go a little bit more. Halfway through this second round.
He's doing really well. He's doing very good. Probing again really well. Now there you go, beautiful work from him.
Nicely constructed attack, and he started to put a bit behind a few of those shots for the first time.
Good change of tempo here from Hawley. He's done well boxing behind that jab, and then he's had those bursts of 3, 4s, 5s. And he really switches up the way that he delivers the power on those shots as well. So he's keeping his man guessing at all times. And this is where that kind of well-schooled background really shines through, Paul, doesn't it?
Yep. That was Garage just trying to jump in a little bit and maybe catch Hawley thinking about constructing the attacks. There's a little look of Robin Reed about him to me, actually, facially. Robin was a very, very big hitter, of course, and in the main 12 stone rather than 12 stone 7 division. However, there's something of him in the way he looks, the way he rolls his shoulders like that, and there's so much to like about him, I think.
Absolutely. Like we said in the opening round, he does so much so well. When you take a young kid into a boxing gym and you show them how to throw the jab, how to have your feet, how to move to the left or to the right, James Hawley is a very good example of how to do all of those things.
Masood, did you see what you were looking for in the second round?
I definitely did. He done really well, gauged the space, gauged the distance, and let his shots go. That was a very solid round for James.
And from Garage's point of view, what's the game plan here for him, do you think?
Tuck up, close down the range. He knows he's not faster than James Hawley, so he's gonna get closer, and throw that haymaker shot, and kind of hope for the best.
And it has worked for him on a few occasions,
Corners,
so he's not to be
10 seconds.
dismissed.
Yeah, and his defense is solid, so James needs to be very careful.
Seconds out. Round 3.
So far, so good. Nice and relaxed from James Hawley here at the York Hall Bethnal Green as he returns to action after a fairly lengthy layoff in his career. And as we said at the start, he's probably won pretty much every professional round he's fought before tonight, and I think he's bagged a couple more at the start of this fight, Darren.
He certainly has, but he certainly also hasn't had it all of his own way, because as we've picked up on, Garage has got a solid defence there, and Hawley's going to really struggle to get through with those clean, eye-catching shots as much as he may like to. But he's trying everything that he knows. You can tell that he's trying everything in the book to get through body and head and body, and he's switching it up, and he's doing it all nicely.
But with defense like that, you got to feint and go around his guards. He's doing a good job by keep throwing that jab, which makes his opponent have a high guards. Now he needs to punch around the guards.
And is that feet first, or is that just making the angle with the punch itself, Masood?
Just making the angle with the punch itself. His opponent isn't really giving him too much. He's coming forward. He doesn't need to look for him. He will be there.
Box Nation, the Academy of Boxing. So many young prospects, including young Mr. Hawley, on this card once more tonight. And we learn with our viewers as we go, under the expert tutelage of professional fighters and indeed star fighters like Masood himself.
Hawley got through with a nice right uppercut there, right through the centre of the guard of Garage. And I like some parts of this relaxed style, that he's had his hands down a little bit. But when you've got such an experienced away corner fighter in front of you, like Garage, he has got to be a bit careful of that, because, like we said earlier on, one of those slips through. Yeah. There's a reason he's got a few wins on his record.
Absolutely right. So Hawley tucked up on the way in that time. He just had a little reminder of what Darren Rees was saying, exactly that, actually, on the way in the previous exchange. Now he looks to put it on Garage a bit more. The right hand was a good one, but if he threw 10 shots there, I think only one of them scored. That's better. That's a lovely little uppercut in the middle of that barrage, and Garage is under a barrage suddenly. And Hawley's going for it. The crowd have come to see this tonight, and Hawley wants to deliver it. Good signs here.
James needs to be careful so he doesn't gas himself out.
Thank you, Masood. There's a little bit of blood around the eyebrows of Garage, unsurprisingly. That's a fairly ferocious 40 seconds he's been on the end of, and I think there's a little straight nick about halfway across the left eyebrow for Garage also.
Well, I think Garage felt that barrage just a moment ago, as you well and truly pointed out. There were some heavy shots, some unforgiving shots which were going into the body and to the head, but he tucked up well and tried to soak it up as much as he could. How much would that have taken out of Hawley that round?
I think that was a very good round. If anything, that round has given Hawley a lot more confidence to now go for the finish. He knows he can hurt him. He knows he has the speed, the power to really put some damage towards him.
Do you know what else, guys? I think I just saw Hawley saying to his corner, I thought I hurt him. Because, as you know, Masood so much better than me anyway. It's one thing to land a good shot, but actually
Corners,
to hurt your
10
opponent
seconds.
with it is a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's good that he noticed it as well. So now he's going to be even more determined to go for it again.
Seconds out.
So let's see if he can do that.
4.
It is scheduled for 6, so there's no need to really rush this if you are James Hawley. Just building on what was achieved in the preceding round would be good, I think, Darren.
I think we need to see him go up the gears ever so slightly, little percentages as the seconds of each round goes by, and I think he's done plenty of that. And as we touched on a little bit earlier on, he's done well in terms of changing the tempo and changing the way that he's applied that educated pressure. What I really like about what we've seen with Hawley tonight, yes, it's that confidence, yes, it's that fluidity, but also he's shown his man, look, I'm in charge here. And every time that Garage has tried to take over the centre of that ring, he's done a good job of either boxing on the back foot and taking control of the fight, or taking over the centre of the ring again.
At the top of the bill here tonight, we've got a terrific-looking Southern Area title fight. Now, this is a division in Britain with an awful lot of talent at the moment, light heavyweight. So I think you can see where I'm going with this, Darren. And I'm not trying to join two ends of a very, very tentative cable here, but he's a 6-round fighter at this moment, Hawley. It's not a giant leap of faith if there were an opportunity to put him into a 10-rounder for a Southern Area title, should that be available. And maybe that needs to be something that they have a word with him about, to say, look, in the corner, look, you need to finish this fight strong, and then people will start to believe you might merit consideration as a step forward.
He needs to catch the right eyes, and the way that you do that is, of course, on a platform like Box Nation and in a venue like this. But there really are some fantastic fighters who aren't that far away. Your Louis Edmondsons, your Ezra Taylors.
Exactly.
There's plenty out there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a fisherman casting out the net. There's a plentiful shoal to gather in just at the moment. But every minute counts, so switching off or cruising through a round, that's not on for me at the moment.
At this stage of your career, you really have got to be super impressive. And I know that Hawley is enjoying himself, and he has every right to enjoy himself. But I guess enjoy yourself when the job's done and you've done a good job of it.
So really pressing the foot down and going for it might be beneficial. We've, in truth, not seen that in this round. After the big attack in round 3, I just wonder whether this might come to be seen as a little moment of missed opportunity. Garage has been nice and tidy and just trying to sneak a little win in the round. I don't know whether he achieved that end, but you see, Garage is well pleased with himself because he thought hell was coming out the other corner, Masood, at the start of that round. It didn't happen.
No, Garage did amazingly well, backed him up and pretty much just walked him from pillar to post. That was a disappointing round by James Hawley just because of the previous work he just did. Like, you did such amazing work, you hurt the man, why not stick it to him a little bit more?
Did you think Garage might have sneaked the round?
I don't think he did. I think James
didn't
Hawley
land enough.
Didn't land enough. James Hawley did enough, kept him away with the jab, scored some points. However, I think he could have done a hell of a lot more.
I remember Adam Booth speaking about having the ability to have a round off, but still having the ability to win the round while you were having a round off. Now, for me, James Hawley did a bit of that. He might have just nicked that round, but in future, he probably needs to do it a bit more convincingly.
I would have liked to see him follow up more emphatically after the success of round 3. However, he's well in command and he's well on his way to his 12th straight victory as a professional. That's objective number 1 tonight. But in terms of making a little bit of an announcement that he's a young light heavyweight on the way up, and with so many targets out there, big names, good paydays potentially, let's see how well he finishes to underscore that he believes he's worth that attention.
Agree, Paul, and I think with a lot of young fighters as well, and just in general, that thought and feeling of having a perfect record of 12-0, 13-0, 14-0, whatever it is, for me that is starting to fade a little bit now. It's about catching the right eyes, as I've banged on about a bit, and not so much just about that record.
Yep. Garage with that tight guard, edging forward, looking to survive his way through to the end again. Hawley trying to lay a trap or two for him, and Hawley smiling when Garage quite clearly had seen that script before. Garage is rather enjoying it though, Darren, from the look of it to me, and that's not really ideal from Hawley's perspective.
But this is what he does though, Paul, isn't he? He's one of those typical kind of away corner warriors who will use that phrase. Have gloves, have gum shield, will travel.
Yeah. Doing a bit again in this round, isn't he? Hawley again trying to inject a little bit of pace that's been missing for a while in this fight.
It looked like Hawley needed a bit of that. Once he was put on the back foot and a bit of pressure was on him, it kind of woke him up a bit.
I think you said late in the 3rd round, I hope he's not gassed. That was a great foresight on your part, if I may say, because we haven't seen anything to match that intensity minute by minute since then.
He's definitely slowed down, but that was a nice solid right hand under that left elbow there from Hawley.
Trying some different kind of crowd pleasing now with the arms spread across the corner ropes a moment ago and the little shimmy from the waist. A few smiley faces trying to goad Garage, distract him from his job of work, but he's a proper tradesman, is Garage, and he just keeps the focus where it needs to be.
Well, Hawley's got an aesthetically pleasing style.
Yeah.
If he puts a bit more behind his shots and he can get rid of people, then he really could be a crowd pleaser.
Closing moments of the 5th round. And again, Garage has traded, kept the tempo high, worked his way through the round, earning the respect of Hawley, most certainly, more than probably at the start. And Garage is en route to his objective tonight, which is to make sure that the next job won't be far away. The last job, incidentally, for him wasn't very long ago here, 17th of May, when he fought Elliot El Massi. That was a 4-rounder. He'd actually won the previous fight at the end of 2024 against Ashdeep Singh Bhatti.
Just watching that Hawley corner, I'm not saying he looks flustered in any way, but he kind of looks like he's looking for a bit of reassurance in that corner, Paul.
Needs to believe in himself.
6 and final round.
And Hawley starts work in this 6th round, hoping to finish in good style. A really eye-catching show from him in the 3rd round. Not really maintained that level since.
In terms of the motion which this fight has been going in, it's certainly changed in the last couple of rounds, and Hawley has found himself on that back foot a lot more than we saw him
Absolutely.
on it in the opening couple of rounds anyway.
Good footwork from Garage really has been the key. He's just cut off the angles a little bit more. That allows him to close the range, as he's done there.
It goes back to what you said a couple of minutes ago, and he looks like he's enjoying himself. And when you get one of those away corner warriors start to enjoy themselves, and they feel like they can't be got out of there
or hurt,
then their confidence goes up.
You remember in between maybe the 3rd and 4th round, I think it was, when Hawley, I think he actually said, I thought I'd hurt him in that round. Maybe Garage is a good actor as well, because it hasn't looked very hurt since then. All still a little bit laboured into the last minute 30 from Hawley.
There's good movement there from Hawley, through that right hand and then just changed the angle and sent Garage the opposite direction. He is well schooled, really well schooled.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like a good carpenter, you're going to get work wherever you go in the world if you've got the basics right. Doesn't deviate from the plan. Punch output remains high from Garage. The more eye-catching shots most certainly come from Hawley, but are there enough of them?
We spoke earlier on, Paul, about Hawley's style and him being a mover, and he switched it up a little bit more tonight, but he's done plenty of moving, and when he puts his shots together, he can look dangerous. He just, in my opinion, needs to do a little bit more of that. That's what I'd love to see from him towards the end of this round and in future fights as well.
This is a very calculated round by Garage. Walks him down, lets his hands go, and is really giving it to James Hawley.
In essence, Masood, Garage has guaranteed another payday very shortly with the way he's engineered this display right to the very end of it. Seemed in a bit of trouble halfway through the fight, but that was as good as it got from Hitman Hawley's point of view. The hits became more sporadic. There wasn't enough power in any of those attacks in the second half of the fight, really, to give Garage a big problem. But he remains a talent.
James Hawley did really well, kept on stepping it up every single round. However, after the 3rd round, I don't think it was his fitness. I think it's more to do with his self-belief. He needs to just step on the gas a little bit more and believe that he can hurt people.
I think you're right. Darren, what do you say?
I think that's a really good and solid point, because when he was in the corner in between one of the rounds, I think it might have been between the 4th and the 5th, I said that he didn't look flustered, but he looked like he was looking for reassurance. The way that he was kind of looking at the corner team, it was like, am I doing all right? Is everything going okay?
Mark Paredes.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee scores the contest 60 points to 54. The winner in the blue corner from Bromley, Kent, James the Hitman Hawley.
So well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the brave and gallant Pavel Garage.
Garage played his part. James Hitman Hawley makes it 12 straight professional wins. Still just the one stoppage. He shouldn't lie awake worrying about that all by itself. However, what we've seen again tonight is an immense amount of talent, a little bit of personality, potential to develop a very big support base, but the X factor is out there tantalizingly. He's got it, but we need to see it a bit more often.
These are all about learning fights, aren't they? They talk about
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the ring from Peru, Cesar Ignacio Paredes.
We next move into the welterweight division. Cesar Ignacio Zordo Paredes from Peru.
And please welcome into the ring from Southend on CSX, Marley Mason.
To the immortal James Brown, he waited for the beat, and it's time to beat the drum if you're Marley Mason. Featured in a thriller at Stamford Bridge at the start of April against Mandip Jangra. Hard 10-rounder that was, edged by Jangra, but Mason's third defeat in 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, next up this evening is a 6 3-minute rounds contest in the lightweight division. Firstly, in the red corner, with 18 wins, 5 by way of knockout, 20 losses and a draw. Weighing in 9 stone, 12 pounds, and tonight he wears the silver shorts. Please welcome from Peru, Cesar Ignacio Paredes. And moving across the ring into the blue corner with 5 wins, 1 by way of knockout, 3 losses and a draw, weighing in 10 stone, 2 pounds. And tonight he wears the green and white shorts. Please welcome from Southend on CSX, Marley Mason. Your referee in charge is Amy Boo of Enfield. She will now give her final instructions to both boxers.
Boxers, listen to me at all times. Watch your heads, no holding. When I say brace, step back. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 3-minute rounds.
Seconds out, round 1.
Been a lot of questions as to what is the right weight division for Marley Mason over the last couple of years. This one tonight scheduled at welterweight. One of the big defeats so far came in a Southern Area lightweight title fight. He's lost the Southern Area eliminator to Aaron Prospera. And from memory, actually, Darren, that latest defeat against Mandip Jangra, I think was actually slated as a super featherweight contest.
It's amazing sometimes, isn't it, where fighters really take some time to find that piece of the jigsaw puzzle, if you like, where they really fit in. I've watched Marley Mason many a time, and I've got to say, this is one of the most casual starts I've seen Mason since I've been watching him, because he's a very much a come-forward fighter, and he's high tempo as well.
Anyway, what's really important tonight for Mason is ending up with the W after this run of indifferent results. A lot of things to admire in some of the performances, but he hasn't got the decisions. And you're quite right. He has started in very measured tempo indeed against Paredes, the Peruvian. The Peruvian has a good record, incidentally. Almost 50% win ratio, so that might be one of the reasons. 6th fight in a row in the UK.
He's a good operator, is Paredes. He boxed Royston Barney Smith just 6-7 weeks ago, and was a very negative fighter in that. And then he fought Charlie Senior, the Paris 2024 bronze medalist, and he was a completely different fighter that night. He's one of those who's extremely experienced and kind of picks and chooses when he wishes to kind of mix it up, and tonight we're seeing him on the back foot so far.
You can tell Marley Mason is very keen to get an exchange going. Closing down the range. He just loves a good terror.
Yeah, but Paredes isn't buying it, Masood, is he, early on? He's not buying it at all.
Nope, he's trying to avoid that at all costs. And every once in a while, he does bite back. And successfully as well.
He's got that very iconic sort of style where he can actually throw a right jab from the southpaw stance and then follow that with a looping right off the top. That shot plus the jab. Don't see that every week.
I tell you what, Paredes is technically a good fighter. There was a couple of moments at the start of this round where he looked technically very good. Just little things that he did with his feet and just moved around and made Mason miss.
Ooh. That was a slip more than anything from Paredes, but it was a sharp shot from Mason to finish the round. Eye-catching shot. The referee in the scoring tonight, Amy Poo. Masood, your verdict overall on that?
That was a very good round from both of them. Marley Mason did amazing in that round. However, he could not close down the range. Next round, I'm assuming that's what he's going to do. He's going to cut the ring off. I can hear his coach saying to him, step across him, ensure that he doesn't just step to the side.
Definitely more a reserved approach from Mason. I don't know how well that'll go for him over 6 rounds.
See the little bit of Vaseline being attached onto the bridge of the nose in that Paredes corner at the moment. That is actually because he got a cut there, didn't he, against Barney Smith.
What a talent he is.
Round 2.
Mason now 25 years of age, so he's not in the first flush of youthful optimism, giving a few years away to other prospects like Royston Barney Smith now, but a real crowd pleaser on his good nights, and he's been in some really good fights.
He has, and that fight which Paredes had with Charlie Senior, he really turned it on that night. And he gets through his shots. He just got through with 2 straight left hands there, one upstairs and then switched it up to the body. And if one of those lands flush and he gets his weight behind it, it's a sort of shot which could hurt Mason.
Mason is starting to close the range a bit more quickly now. Starting to let the shots go. The tempo's gone up. This is a bit more like what I was expecting in round 1, Darren, to be honest.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's more the Mason which we're more used to seeing.
Yeah. Paredes stepping away when Marley tries to unleash that big right hand of his to the body, but he's quick to get set for the next attack. Bit right hand happy at times, I've found Marley Mason to be, but the right hand is a good tool, as we've seen again there. And again, he just tends to use the jab as a bit of a prodding device rather than an actual scoring shot.
He does. It's a good observation that. And just watching him there, he kind of puts everything through that right side of his body. Yeah. Not too much power. Any power comes out of that left hand, whether it's a jab or the lead hook. Not that I've seen him throw many lead hooks, but he really sinks in everything which he throws on the right hand side.
And a nice sharp right counter from Paredes. The words left jab in this famous arena, York Hall, Bethnal Green. To complete the sentence like that, one has to go to one of the local heroes, one of the superstars, one of the greats of British boxing in the 1970s, John H. Stracey, the master of the art.
It looks like Paredes is cut there.
Quite a large looking cut as well. There's a lot of blood. Incentive for Mason to go after his man, and clearly Paredes, who's very experienced, is a bit troubled by it, trying to dab the blood away. That doesn't help much, Masood, actually, does it?
It does not, no. But Mason has seen bloods, and he's going out for the hunt now. That has definitely spurred him on a little bit more.
At the moment, it doesn't look particularly deep, but it is flowing very freely indeed. So over to that corner again. I mentioned the cut he got on the bridge of the nose against Royston Barney-Smith. And again here tonight.
I think Mason, seeing that he's cut his man there, will do nothing but give him confidence and bring out more of that Marley Mason, which we're so used to seeing, because like you said, Masood, he's just up for the tear-up, isn't he? I don't know how well that kind of boxing, just general boxing style suits him. He likes to be walking forward, throwing barrage of shots, and being involved in fights where he's drawing blood.
That's a great phrase, the tear-up. Marley Mason's stock in trade. If you had to write, say, a passport application, profession, there's no point writing professional boxer. Tear-up specialist.
Tear-up specialist.
Do you think they've got a drop-down for tear-up specialists on the digital form?
If anyone's got it, Marley Mason's got it.
He is a tear-up expert, and he started to have a tear-up in that second round. No concern from referee Amy Pugh about the Paredes cut at this stage. Healthy dab of Vaseline over the corner of the right eye.
But going back to what we were just saying, Paul.
And now there is perhaps a bit of concern, because the blood started again. And also, we've seen that before, deliberate or otherwise. Conveniently, they start the round without the gum shield. Now, I'd never impugn you, Masood. Have you tried that trick?
I don't think I'll ever try that trick. I don't think it's good for anyone.
I don't think it was deliberate in that case. I think they were just in a fluster about the cut.
Marley Mason is a good hunter. If he hurts you, he knows he has to go for the finish.
He cuts the ring off well as well, doesn't he?
The one thing about Paredes, with all his experience, sometimes when a fighter gets a cut like that, they're worried about. They say to themselves, I don't know how long I've got with this cut, so I need to get on with it myself. That's the mentality of a professional boxer, isn't it?
It is, especially these, away corner guys like Paredes. They're thinking about what's coming up, aren't they? What gigs are coming up? And when you've got a deep, horrible cut, he knows that could put him out for quite some time. And that isn't down on the drop-down menu, is it?
Exactly.
Of an away corner fighter.
So self-preservation starts with being active and trying to stay competitive in this fight now, rather than hiding in some senses. Mason fell in after trying to deliver one of those big right hands, and so far Paredes, nearly 2 minutes into this third round, has avoided serious further trouble.
If anything, the cut's not made it a better fight, because what's happening now is Marley Mason is just following him around like a lost dog, and, well, not necessarily like a lost dog, but a lost dog with a bit between its teeth. He's got a job to do, but Paredes is just constantly on that back foot now and is doing very little trading.
As stated by Darren previously in this fight, there's so much of the meaningful work from Mason just comes off the right hand all the time. He sets with that left jab, Masood. I never see him stepping outside making a bit of space on the left side. Not a knockdown.
No, you are very right about that.
He's trying, but I just don't think he knows how to do it. Do you?
Well, he needs to start feinting a little bit more instead of just sticking your arm out and hoping for the best. He's using his jab, his left arm, mainly as a measurement tool.
Good fight, though. Mason's never in a bad one, is he?
Never. You can always bet your bottom dollar that he's going to be a crowd pleaser. But I do wonder, I know this is 6 rounds, but now the tempo's gone up in terms of Mason following Paredes around the ring at quite a rapid rate, whether he'll start having to slow down a little bit or whether he'll start gassing. But we know he's a fit contender, but he is literally chasing him around the ring now, isn't he?
He is. I mean, he needs to be a little bit clever now and cut the ring off. Which again, I think when he sees blood, all he wants to do is just go out there and hurt the guy. He's doing exactly what I did in my previous fight, which is now you're chasing, you're not cutting the ring off, and then when it's time for you to throw punches, you're smothering your work. So
you sound like you're still a little bit frustrated by all that.
Oh no, I just know the lessons I learned from that fight. And
You'll be back.
And Marley's doing exactly the same thing. He needs to be a little bit more clever with the jab. And you're right, treat the jab like a punch, not just a measuring tool.
I get the feeling, Paul, that we could show somebody this round we're about to watch in the previous round and they wouldn't be able to spot the difference because it's going to be exactly the same.
Paredes from the outside.
Good lead hook.
He's not a difficult target in his own right, Mason. And we're seeing a bit of that in this 4th round now. This is the problem when the tempo starts to drop, isn't it? Because he is so one-sided in that way that he doesn't have the left jab just to pick the man off, give him something to think about while he regroups himself.
I don't know if there's anything that Mason can do in this situational scenario which can draw Paredes into a fight. Do you?
Well, he's doing the right thing to draw him into a fight. However, Paredes is not biting. He knows what he has to do. He's a clever operator.
Yeah.
And he's not willing to exchange.
You guys are more expert than I, but I think, for what it's worth, just throwing it on the table. But let's watch his feet here a little bit. Does he have that ability to step outside on the left side and work cleanly, even ultimately there? And it's very easy also then, Masood, as we just saw with Paredes, just to drop down underneath and have a little rest on that, on the inside.
It is. I mean, Marley Mason is headhunting right now.
Exactly that.
He saw the cut and he wants to go for the kill. However, you keep doing that, you might make your target a lot harder.
Please understand, we're not, everybody watching with us on Box Nation live on YouTube, we're not pulling the performance apart in that sense. Mason's winning, and Mason tonight has come here looking for a W to get things moving forward again in his career, and it's going pretty well in those particular areas. But we want to see a Marley Mason who can go from being a 6-8 round crowd pleaser to a Marley Mason that can win when the 10-rounders come along. They're in good company.
I think that's perfectly said, Paul. And Marley Mason has done plenty to show the scoring referee. Loads of enthusiasm, loads of effort. He's poured his heart into this. He really does want to walk away with the win. And the opening round was not the Marley Mason which we're so used to seeing. But since the second, this is much more like him. And this seems to be what he likes and what he enjoys doing.
Yeah, the tear-up specialist. But a very good value operator, and it's, to me, very everybody in the hall is watching this very closely indeed, even people who had no previous knowledge about Marley Mason, who've come here on other business tonight. Everybody's watching this because it's a proper professional job of its type from Mason.
Mason is a very fan-friendly fighter. Anytime he fights, everyone's on the edge of their feet.
Well, the best seat in York Hall is, without doubt, up on that balcony. You cannot beat it. There's a good bunch of people surrounding that balcony, and when you're up there, you feel like you can lean over and touch the fighters. And you pointed it out, Paul. There isn't a single person here who hasn't had their eyes on the centre of the ring in the middle of York Hall.
The eye damage looks at the moment more or less under control. It's quite a bad cut, isn't it?
There's a lot of blood coming from him there. And I don't even think he'll be thinking about tonight. He'll be thinking about next week and the week after.
Absolutely, yeah. In the last 3 weeks, he's fought twice. Before tonight, in Glasgow both times. Luke Bibby, 4 rounds. Points defeat. 6-rounder against Dylan Arbuckle.
One thing you have to give Mason a lot of credit for is every round he's up the pace. Every single round he's determined to get a stoppage.
There's no giving up at him, that's for sure.
I don't know what you think about this guy. I was told by an old trainer many years ago, when you've got a fighter like Mason with this issue with the left jab, there were old school trainers who would say to the fighter concerned, we're actually going to put your right arm behind your back and we want you to keep it there while you spar. So work it out for yourself. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great way to learn how to use a jab. And the best way to learn is, as you said it, work it out yourself. You can't be taught everything, you've got to learn yourself.
There's no point standing there all day hitting the bag. What does that actually do for you?
Just gets your conditioning up.
Exactly right.
I spoke earlier on about Marley Mason, whether his tempo would go down because he's chasing Paredes around, but that certainly hasn't happened. As you pointed out, he is just up the tempo, round by round, but looking at the breathing and the body language of Paredes, by no means is he out of here, but he's starting to look like he's tiring a bit now.
Full-on endeavour in this round from Mason, very commendable. He is in good nick. He's come into this in good nick. It's not long since that Jangra fight, and that was a very high-tempo fight. And a great lesson of the benefits of staying busy. That was what, 10 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago.
And blood really trickling down the right-hand side of Paredes' face. Doesn't look like it's bothering him, though. He has got one thing on his mind, and that seems to be just surviving from the way that he's fighting.
Lots of lateral movement from the Peruvian. Like a lot of the Central American fighters, the imports we see. Others from South America, from various countries, happy to fight with their hands down, but he needs to get them up here.
Well, for me, Masood, it looks like Paredes is open to that kind of overhand right, but Mason hasn't thrown it yet. Are you seeing that shot?
I'm seeing it. I think the only reason why Mason has not thrown it is because he's not in range. And he doesn't want to expose himself too much. Paredes has a very good lead hook that has caught Mason a bunch of times, so Mason is very hesitant.
Well, looking back at the replays there, you can see that there's been a little bit of a switch up in terms of accuracy, I guess, to the body, which he's been going for, Mason, rather than doing that head hunting which you picked up on the previous rounds. He has switched it up a bit.
He has, and that's going to pay a lot of dividends in this round, just because it's going to slow his man down. Mason looks like he's not even bothered. It's like he's entering the first round again.
The main point is to come get back on the winning trail. And Marley Mason is set to do that. Anne-Marie Hudson, our timekeeper tonight, calling them out for the 6th and final round.
Tell you what Paredes could have done a bit more of, and he hasn't, and hats off to him, is he could have tried to tie Mason up a bit more and just stop him from doing the work which he has been doing. But
see,
instead,
he's listening to you, Darren. Look, he's doing it right now.
Yeah, there you go. There's that commentator's curse. But he hasn't. He has just kind of defensively tried to make it work on the back foot without making this a really boring or messy fight.
Yeah. It's been a really good watch, I think.
Nice to see a bit back from the man from Peru. We haven't seen too much in the last couple of rounds. And you can't help but think that Paredes is going to feel a bit delighted when that final bell does sound.
Mason with one previous stoppage win. It doesn't look likely that he's going to add to that, and I don't think it's really in the forefront of his mind, which is fair enough. He's looking to stay busy, try to look organised. If an opening comes late on in this fight, he'll gladly accept it. But when he's been through the emotional mill over the last year or so, with the ups and downs, not getting the wins in important fights, hearing himself called as a winner, I think that will be very, very gratifying for him against a decent operator who's not a natural loser. Let's put it like that. He wins when he can.
I'll tell you what, when you see these young fighters getting journeyman, away corner fighters, whatever you want to call them, when you see them getting them out of there, they're top talent, because they are not easy fighters or people to get rid of. I spoke to Alex Arthur Jr. just before his professional debut the other week, and he was fighting Robbie Chapman, the Camden caretaker, who viewers will be familiar with. And I said to him, you know how tough this Robbie Chapman is? And he said, my dad was an expert in breaking down his journeyman and getting rid of them. But it's one thing saying it, and it's another thing doing it, because week in, week out, they're professionals at what they do.
Well put, Darren. Well done, Marley Mason. A little jig. I think he's well pleased with himself tonight, and he should be. Surely back in the winner's enclosure, and hopefully from here he will start to build again. The corner looked quite well pleased with him also. Paredes gave of his best. The cut dictated how he could negotiate his way through the rest of the fight. It looked like it could be a real problem even continuing. They managed that in the corner well. So Paredes, I don't know, I think he might need a month just looking at the cut, Darren. I don't think it'll be a quick turnaround for another job in a fortnight, but no harm done in terms of his overall reputation tonight. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Good performance from both guys, and Marley Mason should have his arm lifted in just a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee scores the contest 58 points to 56. The winner in the blue corner from Southend-on-Sea, Marley Mason.
He's delighted with himself. It wasn't a complete shutout.
And a round of applause for the brave and gallant Cesar Ignacio Paredes.
Paredes played a full part in it. That is the first time a fighter at the end of a fight has ever leant over the rope while I've been in the commentator's chair and said, thank you very much for the comments during the while he's actually in there. There have been a few waiting to speak to me later over the years.
Boxing.
He's a character, isn't he? Brilliant.
I do wonder when we're at ringside how much you fighters can hear.
Can't hear anything.
Too focused on the job.
Too focused. I mean, you can hear the general screams from, your close ones.
Please welcome into the ring from Canning Town by way of Ukraine, Sopus.
When we say we move swiftly on these shows, we really mean it. Here we are into fight number 3 at super welterweight, Mikhailo Sopus.
I'll tell you what, in terms of away corner fighters, this is one extremely tough man.
And please welcome into the ring from Tenterden, Kent, Jimmy Dean Wood!
Quite a roar for this young man, Jimmy Dean Wood. A very eye-catching professional debut in Maidstone in early April. A quality amateur, and he looked to have a lot of personality on his pro debut.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next bout this evening is 4 3-minute rounds in the super welterweight division. Firstly, in the red corner, having his 50th contest this evening, weighing in 11 stone 1, and tonight he wears the black shorts with white trim. Please welcome from Canning Town, by way of Ukraine, Mikhailo Sopus. And across the ring in the blue corner with 1 win from 1, weighing in 11 stone. And tonight he wears the white shorts with sky blue trim. Please welcome from Maidstone, Kent, Jimmy Dean Wood! Your referee is Mr. Mark Bates of Hawley, now giving his final instructions.
Okay, gentlemen, when I tell you to break, you take a step back immediately. Keep your punches up, obey my command to protect yourself at all times. Good luck to both gents.
Ladies and gentlemen, 4 3-minute rounds.
Seconds out, round 1.
Mark Basin, the referee, Jimmy Dean Wood, who will be 21, I believe, next week. In his second pro outing, a really eye-catching beginning to his career. The one-time Kent Gloves Amateur Boxing Club member, won numerous national titles, featured at the 2019 European Junior Championships. So a little bit of a buzz around his pro debut in Maidstone. It was a great atmosphere that night, and a different environment for a youngster turning professional. He handled it all superbly, I thought, against Elliot Ebiogbe, who was a real handful. Different kind of opponent tonight. Not as quick, but a solid operator. Sopus, 50th pro fight. Doesn't want it to be a night when he's disgraced in any sense. But that first minute, again tonight, to me, Darren, reinforces that Jimmy Dean Wood is tailor-made for professional boxing. It's the way he moves.
You said a moment ago, Paul, about an esteemed amateur. I believe he's a multiple-time national champion, and you could see that in the stuff which he does. In the opening 10 seconds of the round, he threw a beautiful 1-2, and the way that he just switched it up to the body and threw the lead hook under the elbow of Sopus was textbook stuff. And it's one thing doing it on the mitts with a trainer, and it's another thing doing it in the bag, and then it's a completely different thing putting it off with a live opponent.
Jimmy Dean Wood has hurt his opponent to the body and continuously goes down.
Sopus is feeling these. It's such a measured tempo from Wood. It's very confident. When I spoke about personality, I meant it in the sense of his professional aura. Nothing to do with what he says. It's how he does what he does.
Another great shot to the body.
The fact that Wood is getting through with these shots and hurting Sopus, and you can tell he's hurting him because the facial expressions are telling us that, is good going, because he is one seriously tough man.
Sopus has been stopped in his tracks on quite a number of occasions in this opening round. He's probably beginning to say to himself now, and he's been through a lot before tonight, Darren, this really is lively. They told me he was good, but the kid is really good. It's got that stamp of it to me at this moment.
But here he is still firing back, and that was a big, horrible right hand which he threw back to the body of Wood. And it's those type of shots which are going to have to keep him on his toes.
What a good beginning to this second pro outing this has been from Jimmy Dean Wood.
That was a very good round. The only thing missing from that round that would have made it pitch perfect is a knockout. Very good round.
Well, with Sopus, he's, with all the respect in the world, technically not very great. He kind of just walks forward and keeps taking shots, but I guess the way that he throws his shots in such an unorthodox manner can sometimes, for fighters like your professional fighters, be quite difficult to read because you're so used to that compact boxing style, aren't you?
Can do, yes. I mean, you can see how much hype is around this man. He's even got Moses Atuma coming down to support him, which probably says a lot about him.
Well, it's become a real little hotbed down there in that area of the country, the southeast. A lot of these young fighters, of course, are coming up to the capital to work under Alan Smith, who's in the corner again tonight.
Seconds out, round 2.
Jimmy Dean Wood actually hails from Tenterden, which is, I'm told, about 20 miles from Maidstone, but he's part of the local firm led by the Noakes brothers. There's one or two other good kids from Maidstone itself who've turned pro now as well. I think he's quite happy to be associated with that little movement.
It's a lovely backhand uppercut and then turned over a lead hook from Jimmy Dean Wood a moment ago. But one of the things I think you've got to be careful with when you're fighting Sopus is not thinking that you've got him hurt. Because I remember watching Reece Mould do exactly the same thing. And every time he felt like he'd got him hurt or thought he had, he really hadn't.
Very good point, Darren. Sopus just seems to shrug it off. It's looking at the moment like he's going to be under pressure all the way. Wood has the height, the reach, he's got the angles, he's got the sharpness, he's got the confidence of youth. It's completely stacked against the 32-year-old Sopus. But he just keeps trudging forward whenever the chance comes, trying to tuck up like that and getting ready to take the next hard shot. And there are some hard shots being landed here.
There are, and Sopus is trying every trick in the book. About 3 or 4 times in 20 seconds he stepped on the feet of Jimmy Dean Wood, but he didn't let it get in the way of his mindset, just stuck to his boxing, and he's timing those straight shots nicely now. As Sopus is coming in and making an entrance, he's getting through with those straight left hands and quite often the jab too.
Tempo's dropped just a little bit in this round. Probably to the advantage of Sopus, but it's all relative. Wood is still the boss in a big way.
There's that straight left hand again of Woods. He throws it really nicely. The taller of the two fighters, just puts his weight behind it.
We were speaking in the preceding fight about, in a sense, a one-armed fighter. Completely different story. This is the point, isn't it? It more than doubles the impression you make.
It does, and what Wood also does nicely is everything comes off well from that jab. Yeah. He kind of ends with the attack. He starts the attack with a jab, but he ends with it almost always.
Nice little shot, which carried a little bit of sting to the rib cage during that last salvo as the bell approached. Wood's enjoying it, and we're enjoying watching him. Masood, over to you.
Sopus looks, every time he gets caught, he looks like he's hurt, but then he comes back. I mean, I find that bizarre. It looks like he's ready to go and then he comes back. I think that's brilliant. I don't know, like it keeps you at the edge of your seat.
I remember watching, as I said earlier on, Reese Mould fighting him, and exactly the same thing happened.
Moses Itama in the house tonight. What an exciting announcement for him, as the Dillian White contract apparently is confirmed. That's what we're being told anyway. And a big learning fight in every sense that will be for the real heavyweight hot prospect.
Seconds out. Round 3.
A brand new prospect, Jimmy Dean Wood. 2 rounds into only his second pro fight. A very good showing here tonight at the York Hall Bethnal Green so far. We're live on Box Nation on YouTube. Welcome everybody if you're just joining us. Cracking card as usual. A lot of prospects. We've got a really entrancing, enthralling 10-rounder for the Southern Area Super Featherweight title at the top of the bill later tonight. So stealing the show is not going to be easy, but Wood is making a fair stab at it at the moment.
He's a very efficient fighter as well as Woods. He doesn't waste a lot. His accuracy's good. And even if he just nips his man, he still gets through, and the sweat bounces off his head and glimmers in the brightness of the light, showing the ref that he is landing.
Another thing I really like about this kid is he looks to me like he loves what he does. And I know it's very early and the long, hard road will provide tests, and there's going to be pain and there's going to be suffering. But it looks to me like this is a young man who wants to be a successful professional boxer. He's not doing it because he's been forced into it, is what I'm saying, or because he's short of options. He's a good-looking kid. And the name rather fits, doesn't it, Jimmy Dean? I'm sure there are lots of other options, but he's chosen this road in life as though it's his vocation.
And you can tell by his facial expressions, Paul, that when he lands a good shot, there's a little smile there where he says to himself, nice one, Jimmy, pleased with that one. And then he gets back to work again. It's good to admire your work every so often.
Another very good round for Jimmy Lee. However, Sopus looks like he's actually landing some good shots of his own.
He's closing the range a bit better, I will say that. I think Woody, to a degree, is allowing that to happen here, Masood.
He is. I think he's taking his foot off the gas slightly.
Somebody just shouted, put the pressure back on, Jimmy. I see the point, but maybe in the corner they won't mind just seeing how he reacts with a small little plot shift in this round. They're actually deep in conversation right now about that in the corner. Eddie Lamb is in there tonight with Alan Smith.
That was a really lovely straight left arm which was thrown by Woods. The timing was brilliant, and Sopus must have felt that one in his boots.
So now he looks to close the round strong, Wood. The bell's imminent, here it comes. Soft to send, well done.
He really looked like he was enjoying that towards the end of that round. He wasn't just boxing then. He looked like he was genuinely having a good time.
Alan Smith very animated.
Holders, 10 seconds. Seconds out. Fourth and final round.
Real classy showing tonight here at the York Hall Bethnal Green so far from Jimmy Dean Wood. Michailo Sopus has been on the end of it. Right and left combinations all through the 3 rounds from Wood.
Well, I'll tell you what, Paul, I just counted 9 shots which Wood threw. There's 10, and 9 out of 10 of them got through.
Yes. Stiffened the legs a bit, that, didn't it, for Sopus.
Again, he looks like he's hurt, and then he just shrugs it off.
It's amazing. He's lost 43 times. He's only been stopped 5 times in that, in a now 50-fight career. The power of willpower.
And credit to Sopus. Look, he's still having a go. Still having a go. Nothing puts him off.
Wood certainly controlling in very, very convincing fashion in this round. Didn't quite have it all way in the preceding round.
And the way that Wood is boxed this evening, it gives me that warm fuzzy feeling that we're going to see him doing some pretty good things in the future, and he's going to have some tougher tests, some technically better tests, that's for sure. But I do get that feeling that we will talk about being here that night when he boxed that super tough Ukrainian Sopus at York Hall.
His first York Hall appearance. I really like watching him, I've got to tell you. And sometimes, I'm sure people are sick of my voice anyway, but just letting him speak for himself in terms of his quality. And again, I use that word about him as a boxer, his personality as a boxer. Very good indeed.
He reminds me a little bit of a young Billy Joe Saunders in the way that he boxes in that southpaw stance and everything behind that jab.
He's really given us a thorough demonstration of his quality throughout that, Jimmy Dean Wood. Well done once more, Mikhailo Sopus, for staying the course. And apparently without any serious damage. So he'll continue earning at an early opportunity. Jimmy Dean Wood, a stylish looking young man, but we're not here because it's a beauty contest. We're here looking at professional boxers and talented kids like him, and there's just something a little bit special about this young man. Mark Bateson's calling them together as we look at these highlights. Again, it's a highlight reel showing in many ways again tonight from Jimmy Dean Wood.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee scores the contest 40 points to 36. The winner from Maidstone, Ked, Jimmy Dean Wood.
Good support too.
Yeah, definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the brave and gallant Mikhailo Sopus.
Well done to Sopus. What a privilege it has been to watch that little 4-rounder tonight. This is a young man who could be going places. Jimmy Dean Wood. Different kind of performance tonight for me, because pretty much in front of his hometown crowd in Maidstone, give or take a few miles. Different kind of environment. This is a more critical audience, Darren, and I mean that as a compliment. The people who come to watch boxing here, apart from the local fans who travel, they say very often to kids arriving from outside the East End of London, right, we'll give you a chance, show us what you got. Everybody's loved that performance. Really good tonight from him. I say he's not a local, but of course Alan Smith, his trainer, is pretty much a local. And Alan should be well pleased with what he's seen tonight, but we're going to hear from the man himself. Here's Ollie, and I think Francis Warren is also in there as well.
Jimmy Dean Wood gets the decision at York Hall live on Box Nation. A classy performance.
As always, obviously, I want to thank everyone that come out again tonight. Thank you for my sponsors. But I just wanted to do everything what I practice on in the gym, you know. The stoppage was there, it was there, but if not, just get the rounds in and make sure they're on point.
How did you feel in there? Because I could hear Paul Dempsey on commentary from over here talking about your class, talking about your maturity at such a young age. Did you feel good in there?
Listen, I felt good as you meant to feel good on these days, you know what I mean? But yeah, I felt very good on there. I've got plenty more to come, but yeah, this is the beginning.
And a big ticket seller as well, some noise in there for you.
Yeah, you've got to get the tickets going, you know, you've got to bring the crowd. Maidstone crowd, of course, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
And we're bringing a manager in, Francis Warren. Francis getting a reputation for keeping his young fighters busy. Twice Jimmy Dean Wood's been out now, 2 wins. Going to be a busy 2025 for him?
Yeah, I think we've secured the 24th of July as well, so it'll be 3 in quick succession, and that was the aim of the game here. It's to keep Jimmy busy, not be tied down to waiting for dates. We're going to just keep him busy and sort of take destiny in our own hands for a year, 18 months. Try and get him up to 6, 8-0, and then walk into a meeting with one of hopefully with Queensbury with a decent record behind us, with a proven record of ticket sales and ready for title fights. We're quite prepared for Jimmy to do his apprenticeship out on the road. It's the perfect platform for him. Maybe nick a couple of big shows along the way, but listen, he deserves it. That was a great performance in there. Punch perfect, and I think the maturity, as you said, the maturity to show that nearly got him out there first and third, but just though it wasn't coming, so therefore you use it. These are learning fights. It's not about all guns blazing, trying to get people out of there, busting your hands up on pieces of granite like that guy was in there tonight. It's tougher than anything. You sort of think Jimmy and Alan Smith would have been telling him in the corner, box the instructions, and that's what he's done. He said, go out there, use your jab, use your ring nows, and get some experience banked, and that's and that will prove vital in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years time when he does step up to that that championship level. But for now, very great, very good performance. I want to thank again all these terrific supporters for coming out on a Friday night in the baking heat. Really good atmosphere, and on to the next one.
Clearly a talented fighter. Again, big noise in here, big crowd. He's got good people behind him, yourself. Moses in the crowd again. We know the Noakes brothers follow you around. I was going to say, surely sooner or later a Queensbury new signing announcement's going to come. You've touched on it there, so you're looking at a few fights down the line probably with him.
We'll just see. When if the door comes knocking before I have to knock it down, then we'll have a chat. But listen, we're quite happy to get out on the road at the moment. There's the schedule with there's plenty of these Box Nation shows coming thick and fast. This is a great circuit going around on a certain other broadcaster in the small hall scene, and I think Jimmy said he's quite happy to build up his reputation on that scene. As I said, if the door comes knocking, we'll answer it, but otherwise I'll have to batter it down next year.
You're certainly in good hands with Francis Warren. Jimmy Dean Wood, congratulations, Francis. Thank you so much. We throw back to our MC, Mark Paredes.
Ladies and gentlemen, entering the ring, please welcome from Granada, Spain, Javier Satsado!
Javier Santana, the Spanish light heavyweight. 5th pro fight, looking for his first pro win tonight here in the East End of London.
And please welcome into the ring from Tyne and Weir, Dylan Phoenix Morrison!
Francis Warren, in his interview a moment ago, was praising the Jimmy Dean Wood supporters for making the trip from Chatham. How about the support from the northeast of England here tonight in the York Hall Bethnal Green for Dylan Phoenix Morrison from the Kenton Amateur Boxing Club in Newcastle, and he turns pro tonight
Our next bout this evening is a 4 3-minute rounds contest in the light heavyweight division. Firstly, out of the red corner with 2 losses and 2 draws, weighing in 12 stone, 8 pounds, and tonight he wears the red shorts with white trim. Please welcome from Granada, Spain, Javier Santana. And moving across the ring into the blue corner, making his professional debut this evening, also weighing in 12 stone 8, and tonight he wears the black shorts. Please welcome from Tyne and Weir, Dylan Phoenix Morrison.
And if you didn't spot the Newcastle tie-up already, the black and white's a
Your
bit of a
referee
giveaway.
in charge of the contest is Rocky Israel, now giving his final instructions. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 3-minute rounds.
Seconds out. Round 1.
So, to great enthusiasm from the travelling public in Newcastle, Dylan Felix Morrison steps in for his opening few moments as a professional against Javier Santana. Santana's not exactly long in the tooth either. He is now in his 5th pro fight, and Santana is only 21 himself. So we're all going to learn together, Darren.
A good observation in terms of the travelling crowd who have come, my goodness, 6-7 hours to come and watch Dylan Phoenix Morrison here this evening. That is some dedicated support. And this is a fast tempo fight in the opening round.
Morrison key to get on with it.
Great body shot by Morrison.
That's the voice of Casey Kademi, who stepped into the breach for us for a moment or two. Hello to you, Casey. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Masood Abdullah has got one of his biggest friends and gym mates on the card tonight. More will be revealed about that later, and he's just gone backstage to do a bit of homework. Santana's had a little bit of a scouting mission here, Darren, and I think he's realised already that there's not much point trying to make the going here.
Santana, until he stands still, he looks like a pretty difficult man to hit because he switches, he's awkward, and he's quite tall and rangy as well, isn't he?
2 draws, 2 defeats. He turned pro just over a year ago. Drew the first 2, actually. Came to the UK in November, fought Gideon Anaba. That was Anaba's pro debut. He lost that one on points, 4-rounder. Second fight for Sean Lazzarini in Glasgow in November, lost 6-rounder. He lost every round of that. So I'm not saying he's an ideal opponent for Dylan Phoenix Morrison, but he's wide open, isn't he? And if Morrison boxes sensibly, there should be a lot for him in this fight, I think.
I think one of the key things for Morrison is not to please the crowd too much anyway, and just stick to the boxing. Adrenaline will be pumping through his veins, no doubt about it. But as long as he does what he does best, he's got a good amateur background as well, he should pass this test with flying colours.
Little fist pump by Santana, but Phoenix Morrison came out of his corner high on adrenaline, I would have said, understandably so, looking to get on with it. He did get on with it, didn't he? He did okay.
He did, and I think you could see some of that nervous energy coming through, couldn't you?
Casey, what did you see?
I mean, I see a great fight a great matchup for Morrison, because Santana is a confident opponent, and at this stage, it's the ideal opponent for Morrison. He needs a confident opponent in front of him, you know, so that when he does get caught with certain shots, it's about him adapting it.
What we do see on nights like this with fighters like him is the possibility that there's an awful lot of energy and oxygen expended in the first minute and a half. And, you know, by the halfway point in the second round, I sometimes say that's when young fighters go, oh, I'm now a professional boxer. I better calm down.
Yeah,
so let's see what happens here.
100%. This is going to be a great learning fight for Morrison.
Santana doesn't have that problem. He didn't really do an awful lot in the first round after the first minute or so.
Well, Santana looks like he's got one job here, and that is to make this a very difficult and troublesome night at the office. Not in terms of forms of attack, but he will want to make sure that Morrison doesn't look good in the process of winning. And at the moment, he's not doing terribly at it. And he's using that experience, and he'll know that Morrison is full of nerves, and he's getting through with a couple as well.
Surely, Casey, the job really for Morrison here is just to keep it straight. Try to think about the distances involved, and if you can have those two thoughts forefront, the rest should fall into place, I would have said. What do you say?
Yeah, just keep it simple. You know,
keep it simple.
Cut the ring, go, keep his hands up, make him miss, make him pay. You know.
He's very, very keen to get on with it. Now, I think we're at that precise moment, 1:30 of the second round that I spoke about, that Morrison is now just beginning to fetch into the little cupboard. Not for extra oxygen, but just to say to himself, right, I'll just slow it down a bit now, and I'll try to be a bit more measured in my work.
I mean, I think it would be better for him to slow it down and just slowly, precisely pick his shot very well and his distance in order for him to, put Santana in a position where he can.
And the thing is this, all around us, we've got Newcastle-loving Phoenix Morrison fans saying, attack, attack, attack.
Yeah, I mean, it plays a lot out of you when you got your fans screaming at you, definitely. You want to get the job done as soon as possible. Sometimes it can be great, sometimes it puts a lot of pressure on a fighter.
And I think Morrison will be confident in his punching ability, because I know in the amateurs, I think he had around 21 fights and stopped 15 of them. And in the amateurs, that isn't the easiest thing in the world to do, because there are some top talented fighters. So he knows he can punch a bit. And what way to start your professional career than with a stoppage?
That'd be great. I mean, it's so hard to knock out opponent, and the amateurs you got massive gloves on. Here you got small gloves, and as long as you punch perfect, I think you can get the job done.
Second round, same as the first. Javier Santana, pretty slippy, very nearly slipped up.
Great shot
very nearly slipped over.
It was a great shot.
Yeah.
Just by the end of the round, a very great shot by.
Was it the right side of the belt?
Yeah. It was from the right hand. Very good shot.
Well, for me, there's some good quality stuff which is coming from Phoenix Morrison, but at the moment, and I get why he's doing it, I just get the sense that he's trying a little bit too hard to knock him out.
He's trying to please the people, Darren, rather than focus.
And you can hardly blame him, can you?
Don't blame him, no, but as Casey has pointed out, this is a different business now, isn't it? That can come naturally. First, he's got to wear this guy out. Yeah, Santana looks a bit flustered to me. He's doing his best to channel the inner zen at the moment, but I'm not sure it's working. You're laughing. Do you try that as well sometimes?
Yeah.
Find peace in the storm.
Exactly.
So the crowd like it, but then again they would, wouldn't they? Because the people doing the cheering here are the Newcastle supporters, what great sports fans they are, who have followed Dylan Phoenix Morrison to the East End of London for his pro debut here tonight, and he's doing pretty well. And Santana just can't get moving in this round. That can mean trouble when he's got such a leaky defence.
If Morrison can keep him there for a little bit longer, and he may well be able to do that, as he's starting to look tired, he's kind of working his way around the ring or on the ropes with an open mouth, then he may well be able to get the job done.
To me, what happened right at the end of the round was Santana was cursing himself when he was on the stool, saying, God damn it, I've made another mistake. You know, I nearly went over.
Yeah, I mean...
that self-doubt is apparent.
Exactly, and Morrison's been landing some heavy shots, so that itself takes a lot out of you as a fighter. Morrison's got a cut on his left eye.
There's a little bit of a nick over the left eye. I don't think Morrison's over-troubled at the moment by that. And he's certainly having it his own way here, because the will is disappearing from Santana's point of view at the moment.
There's still a long time to go in this round as well. And Santana, the Spaniard, is looking more and more tired as the seconds go by, and he's throwing punches. It looks more just on autopilot rather than with any thought behind them.
A lot of these punches, however, Casey, are high and wide from Phoenix Morrison, and I think if he just sticks, as you put it so well, just keep it simple, simplicity itself, that will do the job for him here, won't it?
100%. I mean, I think that one of the key things that Morrison needs to do is cut the ring a bit better, because he's at the moment, the reason he's missing a lot of heavy shots is because following him. And if he can cut the ring, I think he can get him out very early. I mean, his punches are very effective.
Santana having it his own way a little bit in terms of his escape.
I agree with that, and I think that as the round has gone on, that's restored his spirit a little bit. I think he feared the worst coming out here for this round. So far in this round, he's avoided that. But keep a close eye on this, everybody, right until that bell, because we all know how it nearly unravelled at the end of the last round. Phoenix Morrison is enjoying it, it appears, though. Darren?
He is. I just think he needs to cut that ring off a little bit more. He's got his man hurt when he lets his hands go, and when he does let his hands go, he doesn't seem to have enough time to have any kind of lasting damage. And what I mean by that is, you know, within this round and no further than that, to impress the referee scoring this contest and potentially get his fighter out of there, because Santana does a good job of recovering. He looks like he's knackered, and then he finds his spirit again, which you pointed out, Paul.
Corners, 10 seconds.
1 round to go.
Seconds out. Fourth and final round.
What an effort by these fans from the Tyne and Wear area to get down to the East End of London to support Dylan Phoenix Morrison tonight.
Incredible. What a day out for him as well.
Over the years, of course, they haven't always been flush with boxing success. I hope people watching with us on Box Nation on YouTube won't mind if I just send a message to the all-time great northeasterner Glenn McCrory, our dear friend and often colleague over the years. And I'll just mention that the story of Glenn's life and the backstory of his boxing career, which is amazing, I won't spoil it, but Carrying David, the theatre play around it, is actually coming up next week at the theatre.
I'm really looking forward to him to put on a show in an 8-rounder. Yeah, don't blink when Jack's fighting. I think after this one, gets through this, all good. I think you'll see him in a big title fight in maybe August, September time.
How far do you think Jack could go? Because obviously there was a lot of hype around him when he turned from MMA to professional boxing. He got the wins under his belt. the loss in Riyadh, and then he went in last minute against Sam Giddy, took that fight on a week's notice, couple of defeats, and now he's back to kind of the building up stage again. But once he gets there, how far can he go?
He'll never complain about the defeats and that. Listen, Louis and Sam performed the highest ability. They got the job done. Do you know what I mean? So, listen, I think Jack could go far in the sport for what he's achieved already with zero amateur experience, and the fighters he's put away. Like, you've got to give him props. He's won an IBO European title, won his English Eliminators, got himself mandatory for the British title. Was going to fight Sam Mansweet. I think that didn't happen. I think that was, you know what, a lot's happened in Jack's career. WBM have backed him massively because he's an exciting fighter, knockout artist, and he's loyal to the bone. Like, they treat Jack like family. Do you know what I mean? And he's one fighter I look at and I really want to see do well. And everyone, you know, like even his old foes, his opponents, everyone who meets Jack and the family are like, yeah. But I think he's going to put a show on. I hope he gets some rounds in. It's an 8-rounder. He wants a title fight after this one, and I hope he actually goes the 8 rounds and starts boxing a bit. But he does try and start boxing when someone eventually ends up walking onto a shot. But why Jack's exciting? Sometimes he gets into scrappy. He'll get hurt, but he's dangerous when he's hurt, and he's brought the MMA style to boxing. But his boxing ability since being with Martin Murray is massively improved. It's just the mental game now. I think he's got to overcome these 2 defeats because going into the Louis Green fight, listen, we know. You know yourself, we know, his mentality, especially making the weight day and day. You've got to remember he's 31 as well now. That gets harder with every camp. And he was flying at one point, do you know what I mean? No one wanted to fight him. Since the 2 defeats, a lot of more people are trying to step up to the plate now, but he's at a natural weight. I think he's going to, listen, like I said, I think he's going to, he got over his last fight in Gibraltar, tried to box a bit. He's a natural knockout artist, so what I think is going to happen here, I hope he gets the 8 rounds in, and what I like to see is more people, when someone loses, they see the vulnerabilities in it, and more people step up to the plate, and I believe Jack performs better against better opposition, so let's hope he puts a clinic on there and he's in a big fight in September.
Well, Freddie Warren, we are about to watch the next chapter of his journey because we now throw to our MC, Mark Paredes.
And big up Numan Hussain.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the ring from Cologne, by way of Ukraine, Sahil Cassenov.
So we head now to the 2 chief attractions tonight here at the York Bethnal Green, live on Box Nation YouTube channel. Sahil Cassenov is very, very much used to being the opponent served up to a talented prospect, and the man against him tonight, although not the youngest prospect
and
in the
please
game, is
welcome
still a
from Liverpool, the Pilgrim, Jack McEwan. Ladies and gentlemen, our next bout this evening is an 8 3-minute rounds contest in the super middleweight division. Firstly, fighting out of the red corner, having his 48th contest this evening, weighing in 12 stone, 3 pounds, and tonight he wears the white shorts with the blue and yellow trim. Please welcome from Cologne, Germany, by way of Ukraine, Sahil Cassenov. And across the ring in the blue corner, with 11 wins at 7 by way of knockout, 2 losses and a draw, weighing in at 12 stone, 2 pounds, and tonight he wears the black and silver shorts. Please welcome from Liverpool, the Pilgrim, Jack McEwan. Your referee is Amy Poole, now giving her final instructions to both boxers.
Listen to my instructions at all times. Watch your heads, no low blows. When I say break, step back. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves.
Ladies and gentlemen, 8 3-minute rounds.
So Box Nation heading to Liverpool in July, and as you just heard, a real cracking show lined up there.
Round 1.
Here tonight from Liverpool, heading to the East End of London to show us that the best is still to come. That is the plan anyway for Jack McGann. Been a mixed bag of results. Some real tests put in his way, one way and another, not just the quality of the opposition, but the big controversy and questioning over what weight division he really should be in. He's grabbed the headlines. He's found out what it is to lose a big fight in quite startling fashion. And he's fought for the Commonwealth Super Welter title against the very talented Sam Gilley, all in the space of under a year. That's really packing it all in, ups and downs, isn't it, Darren? So now, with a win in Gibraltar, sort of a good performance out there on that card, which was a great card, incidentally. Now settling down, and middle stroke super middle is where they want to put him, as we've just heard in the interview between Ollie Bessel and Freddie Warren. What are your thoughts?
I think it'll be interesting to see how he operates tonight. There's not too much to tell at the moment. It's a very relaxed start from him. He's most certainly on the front foot. He needs a couple of eye-catching wins to really get himself back on the map, that's for sure. And I guess we'll just see how things go. But tonight is very much the start of that journey. He's not starting from square one, because like you said in your introduction there, Paul, he's been there and done that and been in some big competitive fights. Hasn't come out on the right side of probably the most high-profile one with Sam Gilley. And we'll see what he can do with another very, very tough away corner fighter, which has been the theme this evening.
Indeed so. On the Gilley fight, I think it was a so-called trade secret known by about everybody in Britain with an interest in boxing, that it was a real struggle for McGann to get into that weight division. Was never going to be easy for him, but he's a proper warrior's mentality. That goes back to his MMA career. There's a lot of that in his family background. And that was the opportunity stroke challenge, and he accepted it and pushed himself very hard indeed. But some lessons learned, no question, against a good fighter.
McGann already looking a tad frustrated this evening. You can just tell by his body language as he follows his man around the ring and just kind of put his arms down and gave him a gesture to say, are we really going to do this all night?
Well, I'm afraid, Jack, there is a possibility of it against Cassenov. He doesn't mind if there are no marks for artistic impression or indeed artistic endeavour. He's well used to losing 36 in a row. In fact, since his last win in May of 2022. So it's up to Jack to look the part. We have the additional professional insight expert from Casey Kademi. Casey, your thoughts, please.
I mean, I see, his opponents want to survive the 8th round, but it's all about Jack's, how he operates within the 8th round. I was very impressed with his footwork. He was cutting the ring well. He wasn't wasting energy. He was very calm. And against this kind of opponent, you gotta surprise him later rounds. You don't want to steam ahead first round. And what happens if you steam around first round? You give him the confidence for them to engage. They want a war. That's where an opponent like Sahil wants. Get into a war, get confident. But I think Jack is doing a great job. Making him miss and cutting the ring well, putting a high mental pressure on him.
Round 2.
Thank you, Casey.
Jack McGann has got one experienced corner with Martin Murray in there. For those of you who followed his career, he really was chucked in the deep end at times and most certainly didn't ever stop swimming, and I'm sure the guidance he can give him along the way will be superb.
Murray, a 5-time world title challenger and a top line middleweight, most certainly. Very much to your point now, not just the technical info, the technical guidance from a man like Murray, who was a very, very, very good fighter indeed, but it is the life experience, isn't it? All the frustrations and the difficulties. I'm sure McGann will be soaking all of that up as well.
Of course, and I think when a fighter like McGann, who is where he is in his career, and you come out and you've boxed an extremely negative fighter, let's just assume this one goes the distance, you need somebody like Martin Murray who can pick you up and say, I remember when that happened to me, in this date, that date, and this date. And this is, I understand where you're coming from, and that having that shoulder to lean on, and having that brain to pick goes a long, long way.
He was buzzing in his own interview at the end of the Rodriguez fight. McGann well pleased, I think. But he struck me as a still young man who's quite hard on himself.
Casey, what do you think the shot is that McGann needs to find here? Because I know he needs to cut the ring off a little bit more, but is there something which he needs to throw, which you can see having a bit more of a success rate?
I think he needs to mix his jab up and down, because his opponent keep changing stance. I think he's a natural southpaw, so he needs to find a way to throw that backhand straight to his opponent's shins. And then the only way you could do that is throw jabs up and down, and come off the center. He's got to be off the center. Jab's got to come off the center, because the moment he throws his punch in the center, he gets caught with the backhand from his opponent. He's got to move his head as much as he can as well.
This is actually quite comfortable for Cassenov at the moment.
And I guess McGann has got to be wired on, hasn't he? He can't switch off when he's fighting someone like Cassenov, when it's just very repetitive nature. Very easy to just switch off and start thinking about other things. And then before you know it, like we saw with Phoenix Morrison, you get caught with one.
Well, this would be an outright sensation, of course, if Cassenov were to do that. Only 4 wins so far. Pro fight number 48 tonight. But he doesn't get stopped very often either. He's lost only 3 times inside the distance in 43 defeats, which is in its own way laudable. It's his 9th fight of 2025. He's in the groove. And McGann in this fight yet to truly get in the groove.
When he does get in the groove, we've seen it in the past. If he gets someone trapped in the corner on the ropes, you know, he stopped 7 out of the 11 wins which he's had. He knows how to get a job done, but it's how much he can get up for getting that job done when he's got such a negative fighter in front of him.
I think it would be very helpful indeed if he could really dazzle tonight. I think it would help his career greatly. One of the reasons is because a lot of these recent fights, big or small, have not been in the UK. That's the first thing. An amazing opportunity came his way. Headline grabber in every possible sense. Riyadh season, October 2023. I suppose it will go into history books as the grand premiere of that season. And there he was, fighting the son of Roberto Duran. And he won it. He rose to the occasion there in Riyadh. He won it spectacularly. Got his return trip on the basis of it and was stopped in the first round on his return, March 24, 1 minute 29 seconds, by Louis Green.
That is the ups and downs of boxing, isn't it?
And also, another thing, Darren, you know, the Gilly defeat came here, so what I'm saying is there are 1 or 2 little shadows to remove tonight, in that sense. So I think everybody's hoping he will start to sparkle a bit. Casey?
His opponent is very awkward. He keeps changing his stance. When you got an opponent like him, it's a bit harder to settle down and get comfortable.
It must be so frustrating as a fighter when you've got somebody who's on the back foot like this and then grabs hold of you at every given opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, his opponent is very awkward. He gets in very close, and he's too far. Changes stance occasionally.
I think that attack is the most punches he's thrown so far in his fight at once.
Walked him down a little bit more urgently there, McGann, but he didn't really let go. I think we could do with seeing a little injection of pace one way or the other.
I really want to see McGann start going to the body. I think
I was about to say it. That's what we're not seeing.
Because the moment he changes his stance, there's an option from Jack McGann to land that straight right hand or the hook to the body.
There it was, and it didn't happen. A well-delivered shot to the body very often can be worth 5 or more on any other part of the target. So maybe that needs to be pointed out. I thought Martin Murray in his own fighting days had a very good left hook to the body from memory.
He was a very, very good body puncher, but just looking at McGann's face at the end of that round there, the kind of body language and the expressions he was chucking out. I said in the opening round, one of the observations was he kind of looked and said, are we going to do this for 8 rounds really? And you said, yep, we may well do.
Yeah.
And I've got a horrible feeling that every round is going to be very, very similar.
Every chance now, and the problem with all of that is Jack McGann won't leave the building having sparkled, and we'd all like to see that for him.
Casey, what information would you be giving Jack McGann in that corner?
I'll be telling him don't go in too close, stay in your range, and go in for the body. Try to go in for this round for the body. So this gives you a better round for the next round. The next round his hands be a lot lower, then you can start landing a bigger shot to the head.
Safety-free passage so far for Serhii Cassenov, the 32-year-old. They're both 32, in fact. Jack McGann is the prospect in this fight, though. Cassenov, the professional survivor. At it again tonight here, live on Box Nation on YouTube from the York Hall Bethnal Green. Bit of urgency required from McGann's side, I think.
Got to say, I'm a big fan of Kassenov's fight shorts. The Ukrainians really know how to put their fight gear together, don't they?
It's quite a colourful corner as well, actually. Just a shade low, but that was the intent there. And Cassenov, of course, milks it for all it's worth.
I think it wasn't that too low, to be honest.
Neither did I, actually. But
it was like a shot from Daniel Dubois on Hussain.
I knew you were going there. I just knew you were going there.
Like that.
McGann looking perplexed. Cassenov sneaked a couple of backhand hooks behind that McGann guard there. Just needs to be careful of those. McGann, you can just see he is bubbling inside not in the right way. The frustration is oozing out of him.
Exactly. To me, this feels like a pivotal moment in this fight. He's going to sort this out, or we are definitely in for a, how shall I put this properly, a patience tester for the crowd here tonight. Of course, they will be patient because they always come in here so immersed in boxing.
I mean, I see the body shots are kind of walking. Serhij's hands are coming lower every time Jack aims to the body. I think what he's got to do is feint it to the body, then go to the head. But
switch feet almost as he moved away that time, and now he's going to complain again about it being around the side and off the target. Replying in kind. Little shake of the head from McGann, even before he set himself to try to do some work there.
I think it'll be good for McGann, for us, and for everybody in York Hall. If he does get a little bit more frustrated, I think we need to see McGann roughing him up a little bit and just tying him up. And
that was going to be my next question for both of you. Do you know what? During the last 2 rounds, I've been just starting at the bottom and working up with McGann and his footwork. We've all seen it a million times. A guy says, right, the next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to start standing on his foot to annoy him, get under his skin. That hasn't even happened yet from McGann. And I'm not condoning it, but we've all seen it. The rounds are slipping by. And now Martin Murray's getting a bit frustrated, saying, I agree with him actually. There wasn't a lot in the body shot, for which we stopped, and he replied in kind immediately anyway, didn't he, Cassenov?
Yeah.
We've spoken a little bit about travelling fans, but I think we've also got to speak about travelling fighters as well. McGann and Martin Murray based in the Liverpool area or thereabouts. This is a long way to come down to London and come on a big show, and of course they are always up for the opportunity, and they will be ever so frustrated with the way that the opponents fight him, because we use that word, a bit of magic, a bit of sparkle, and we're just not seeing it from McGann. And I don't think it's entirely his fault. I think it's who he's got in front of him who's making it an ever so difficult night at the office.
Seconds out, round 5.
I see McGann's corner telling him start going more to the body, so
there's another few seconds back. I told you there was a colourful corner, by the way. So we've seen all the tricks from one side, and not many of the darker arts, let's put it like that, from the McGann corner so far. Again, I'm not condoning it, but this is professional boxing.
good little combination inside the body from McGann.
Definitely a bit more urgency from McGann in the opening part of this round. Not bundles, but a bit.
Has to happen now, really, guys, doesn't it?
One of the big troubling points which McGann's having here is when he tries to formally attack, he gets shut down because the Ukrainian just goes in, invades his space and doesn't let him get his shots off. And I guess, Katie, that's where that bodywork needs to come in and start taking effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's all about timing, and once McGann finds that timing, I think we'll start landing it, but the shot.
It is becoming the patience tester for the crowd, and to a degree the patience tester for McGann himself. He cannot get set often enough to do the damage to really make Cassenov unravel. Not saying it's easy to do that, incidentally. Even there, he's happy to be quite passively walk back across the ring, Casey. I never saw a little, a little dig to the ribs there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to use every trick in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Build momentum by those means. And there isn't much momentum at the moment. Even then, that was pretty tentative, wasn't it? And again, tentative to the body.
Cassenov strikes me as the type of fighter who could quite literally do this for 21 rounds if you allowed him to.
There are 3 to go after this one. Scheduled 8. Went for the big one, telegraphed it. Cassenov was already moving to a completely different part of the arena when it arrived in his direction. Cassenov waiting to hear the bell, which now arrives One more banked by Cassenov in terms of the frustration level, and McEwan slumps on his stool.
One of the other things with fights like this, I know Sam Gilly had a fight very similar to this on the Ipswich bill last week against Gideon Onyanani, which ended up being a draw. And I spoke to Sam over social media in the week, and I said to him, don't beat yourself up over it as much as you have been, because he looked absolutely gutted after the fight. And he said, I've not been able to watch the fight back. So it's not just tonight that this is a frustrating night for Jack McEwan, but this is really going to go into the next few days and into the next few weeks, especially as he was waiting for this opportunity on a good card in such a prestigious venue.
That's interesting, very interesting indeed. Where do you stand? Do you watch everything back, good and bad?
Yeah, I watch everything back. I mean, I watch everything back and get back into the lab and start working on what mistake I've done and what I need to correct. Because the more fight you get, the harder fight you get. I mean, I fought for when I fought for the world title, it was last year January. I mean, I had such an experienced opponent, and I've watched that since till now, and I'm correcting every mistake that I made.
I think the value of it is actually we can all expend a million words, and you can have a debrief lasting 3 hours when you go back to the gym, just everybody talking about the performance. You might look at 10 minutes of tape and see 3 different little incidents within the fight. That's what was wrong. That's what was wrong. That's what was wrong. It might actually really help focus on the small things which can make the big difference.
100%. I mean, it gives you a task to work on. When you're in that gym, I mean, you can punch back all day, you can do pads all day, but it's about working on things that it's not been great throughout the fight. So it gives you, it's like a job. It gives you a job to work on in training.
One or two little more hopeful signs, but it's what happens next from McEwan. There's been a lot of passages like that in this fight. A little step up in the pace, but the conviction really throwing, especially downstairs, just isn't there at the moment.
I use this next line gently, but I do feel that ever so slightly McEwan is just starting to have a little bit more success and he's getting a bit more accurate with his work. And maybe that's just because the Ukrainian has been hit to the body quite a bit and he's been moving around a lot and he's tiring.
Maybe minute to go in the 6th round of 8. Be the first, says Murray. He hasn't consistently been the first, upstairs or down, has he? In fairness, let's be clear about that.
I mean, like, there's some great combo that you can throw against Southpaw, like Sehel. I would throw a straight right hand and left hook to the head. What McEwan does is he throws single shots, which gives Sehel time to cover up for the next single punch. If he mixes up straight to the body and then left hook to the head, I think it would be a great shot to land.
At the moment, all we're saying is it's been a proper learning fight. If the lessons are to be taken away and dissected by whatever means, we're not learning anything new at the moment about either one of these two. Round after round, pretty similar.
But also, when you look at a fighter like Jack McEwan and some of the talented people that he's been about, both whether that was in his mixed martial arts background or as a professional fighter, I bet he hasn't even sparred many people like Cassenov. Never mind actually boxed him professionally in a ring like he is tonight. So we use that word learning, but he really is learning in the job, but in such a negative manner at the same time. He won't want another fight like this, that's for sure. But he will take something from it, even if it's just managing those frustrations, right?
Yeah, I mean, Cassenov is so awkward. He's such an awkward fighter, and you can only get better from this kind of fight.
Corners, 10 seconds. Seconds out, round 7.
2 rounds for Jack McGann to turn it up. Try to turn the vibe around this performance in a more positive direction. A proper, awkward handful, Cassenov. No mistake. Just didn't let the right hand to the body go there, did he?
And Cassenov, he is subtly doing every little trick in the book. As the referee's on the blind side, he grabs hold of McGann's arm. He'll step on his toes. He shuts down his attacks before he's even thought about throwing them.
This is my point, Darren. We're not seeing any of those coming back from the other side. The house fighter in this case, McGann. Too honourable for his own good.
It is professional sport, but I think McGann may kick himself a little bit that he didn't do a bit of the other stuff, should we call it?
Well, we've all seen him over the years, haven't we? At every level.
It is a great time for him to practice those kind of things, you know. For I guess that can only get you better to do, I guess, a better opponent. So
yeah.
This is the fight you got to practice all those tricks in the book.
First hint of trouble there. Cassenov away into the middle of the ring. Claim his man. 10 seconds go by. Takes it on the gloves. Goes for a little walk.
I think a valid point as well, though, is, you know, we wanted to see McGann sparkle here, and we've loaded up on it. He hasn't, because of a negative opponent he's got in front of him. But also, look, boxing is a business before it's a sport. And Cassenov, as an away corner fighter, there ain't many promoters or matchmakers who are going to be looking at him thinking, oh, we're matching with our fighter, especially after this performance.
Entertainment business in one sense, and there's no disguising that the entertainment value hasn't been of the top league in this fight. As so often, a moment of promise. Cassenov senses the possibility of a bit of trouble, steers his way out of it. Certainly not going down as a York Hall classic, and I'm afraid it wouldn't be a classic of the old school at the old Liverpool Olympia for sure. So the Liverpool lad is deep in conversation already with Martin Murray. How could we put a shine on this in the last round?
A very difficult job that would be to do. But I just go back to that point of, at least McGann has got Martin Murray in that corner, and they can have those conversations after this in the car on the way back to Liverpool or whatever it is. And he really couldn't be in better hands. Martin Murray was right up the top, world title fights, a great fighter. He was fantastic to watch as well, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, and it's been good to watch in that corner between this 7th and 8th round. Going through the little body shots, doubling up the jab. Let's see if McGann can produce any of it to order. Looks like he wants to have a little burn here late on.
You still got to be careful. I mean, look what we've done, what we've seen from.
You're so right. Cassennov's last win, May of 2022.
I get the feeling that McGann had a stern word in that corner, the end of the penultimate round, because he's come out with more urgency in this round than he has in the 7 previous.
I'd have liked to see this in round 3, to be honest with you. But can he sustain it in this round even?
Well, as Cassenov walks back to the corner, I could almost go into the mind of Jack McGann, and I could almost guarantee he was thinking, I cannot wait to see the back of you.
I hope they won't be too hard on him back in Liverpool. You know, the industry's so buzzing at the moment. So many good fighters. Not every one of them sparkled every single night along the way. It's all part of the game. It's what happens next is what's really important now for McGann. And I'll just chuck one scenario out there for discussion, gents. You know, it's either whether you want to go middleweight or particularly super middleweight. There are so many talented fighters in Britain. Maybe there's little or no point actually holding him back. Maybe if they can make something which is going to test him to his limits, that might be what gets him really going again. That challenge now at this stage in his career.
Do you know what? After Royston Barney-Smith had his fight with Cesar Paredes, who we saw earlier on, the fighter from Peru, I interviewed him and he just said, I'm so fed up of fighting these type of fighters. I want to fight someone who comes to win. That's when you're going to see the best out of me. That's when you're going to see my best development. And I think that's the sort of matchmaking that McGann needs. He needs those fights where maybe he's not a favourite like he was against Sam Gilly and other fighters.
Where there's real jeopardy, where everybody knows there's a lot at stake. He's not a seasoned professional boxer, but he's a seasoned combat athlete, and he knows about that from his MMA background. Only turned pro at the age of 25 in boxing. And of course, missed a couple of years with the pandemic. So it ends rather as it began, with Jack McGann looking at Serhii Cassenov and thinking, you're going to make me look bad all night long. And I'm afraid that's rather how it played out. It's a learning fight, and it has to be viewed in that sense. Cassenov is a master of his art. McGann might, for me, for what it's worth, just have introduced a few more of the darker arts slightly earlier to ruffle up Cassenov one way or another. I said ruffle, not rough, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, like I said, Serhii...
it's not the ballet here tonight, folks.
No.
This is live boxing from the York Hall, Bethnal Green, on YouTube. And it's supposedly boxing with real blood, entertainment.
Real blood, that's it. A real game to hurt you.
Your referee scores the contest 79 points to 73. The winner in the blue corner from Liverpool, the Pilgrim, Jack McGann.
So the plus is almost a shutout.
And please, ladies and gentlemen,
McGann
a round of applause for the brave and gallant Serhii Cassenov.
He again moves further on from one or two of the big defeats in his career. I still think there's a tremendous amount of potential to be unlocked. Let's hope he takes a good view of what has happened here tonight, Darren, and views it as a positive learning experience. Can we hope for that, in your opinion?
I think we can, but also, understandably, I don't think I've ever seen a fighter have their arm raised after winning and giving the facial expression which Jack McGann did.
He's an honest man. That's why that happened. And, you know, for all the fact that we've got so many terrific fighters in Liverpool now, how good it would be to see McGann into a big fight in Liverpool. That would be something.
There's plenty out there, whether that's area, domestic level. There's so many good fights, especially in that booming Liverpool boxing scene. And the shows which Queensbury are doing all over the country gives people like him the opportunity. And I think put that down to, I don't want to say a bad night at the office, but an extremely frustrating night at the office. But McGann joins Ollie now.
We're back in the presenting area, just waiting for Jack McGann
to be ready to come in. Jack, frustrating night, but you got the win.
Yeah, frustrating, but you can only work a lot of front to you. I think I'll still take the rest of the can from it, you know what I mean? So, just happy to be back out.
Yeah, I can.
That's it now. The plan was after last year, come up into a new weight, grow into that a little bit. Grow into that a little bit and then start coming forward again, and that's where I am now. I'm ready for it, so let's step up and go and let's start chasing titles and whatever now, but I'm ready to fly. I put my stabilisers back on for a minute, but I just went down the big hill and I'm ready to start going.
Couple of fights at this weight now, feel more comfortable?
Yeah, a lot more comfortable, and I just see how that last little bit just does it. And it's like when you buy a new car, you don't stop seeing it. All I heard about was, especially with the Eubank Corner stuff through the week, it was on everyone's lips. Everyone can't be wrong. I thought that was right.
How did you feel in there tonight against that opponent? Because he came to frustrate, didn't he?
Yeah, but you know, I've done more rounds this year alone than I have in the last like three put together. So, as I said, it was frustrating and everything else, but I'll take what I can and we've got to take from it. So yeah, I'm happy.
Martin, how important was it for Jack to get the rounds in tonight?
Oh yeah, definitely. Don't get me wrong, he could have been out of there. You could have had him out of there, but like he just said, he's done more rounds this year alone than he's done in
3-4 years.
That's what he's been missing. So look, was it the best he can box? No. But will he get loads on that fight course? Well, you know, and we're happy he's got 8 rounds in. We can see, obviously, with the couple of defeats that he's had, we can see the confidence growing in him, and that'll only do him good, you know. So we want to do a 10 next, and then we'll just see what comes up. But what people forget about Jack is he come from the MMA. Do you know what I mean? He had no amateur background. He's learning on the job even now. Look, he's got world-class power, we know that, but he's still learning as a boxer. And like I said, them fights are doing no good. So we need more of them. And the more of them you see, the better you see out of Jack McCann.
And just quickly, Martin, how important is those back-to-back wins?
Yeah, of course it is. Look, you know, you're only as good as your last fight, aren't you? You know, and obviously his last fight was his first win after his loss. This one, he's just going to keep growing. So he's never done 8 rounds. This is the first time he's done 8 rounds, and the confidence coming with him. We can see it in the gym. But let me tell you, you'll see a lot more bigger and better from him.
And you know, I'm not to lose it. I'm fully aware of everyone fighting. Let's not be daft. But it's about how I'm feeling, and I'm getting back to how I used to feel, and that's it. So I'm not far off, but I'm getting there, and that's all we're doing. And I'm still one of the most exciting people you'll have on your telly. So just stick with it, and that's it.
Jack, congratulations. Martin, congratulations. We will see you out again very, very soon.
Cheers,
it's
pal.
time to throw to our MC, Mark Paredes.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you for your attention, please? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, as is our tradition, we ask you to rise as we remember James Cook, MBE. James was born in Jamaica, moved to England and made Hackney his home. He went on to win the British and European super middleweight title. James worked hard for the youth of East London and was awarded an MBE in the 2007 Birthday Honours List. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to remain standing as we give boxing's traditional 10-bell salute. James Cook, MBE. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. James Cook, MBE. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. The Southern Area Super Featherweight Championship. Please welcome into the ring from Chatham, Kent, Robert Caswell. And please welcome into the ring from Camden Town, Numan Hussain!
So time now for a crackerjack Southern Area title in this famous hall which has given us so many over the decades. This tonight for the super featherweight title as Numan Hussain meets Robert Caswell. We're awaiting Hussein's arrival on the stage. Caswell's, as you've seen, has arrived in the ring already. And fresh from a real thriller. The draw with Frank Arnold. Hussain tries to grab the prize tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is 10 3-minute rounds for the Southern Area Super Featherweight Championship. Your officials have been appointed by the British Boxing Board of Control. Your area rep is Mr. Des Rees. Your timekeeper at the bell is Mr. John Smith. And when the action begins, your referee scoring is Mr. Mark Bates. And now to introduce the contestants. Firstly, in the red corner, with 12 wins, 2 by way of knockout and a loss, weighing in 9 stone 4, and tonight he wears the red shorts with black trim. Please welcome from Chatham, Kent, Robert Caswell.
Caswell seeking to put a few demons away
And
tonight on
moving
his return to the
across
York Hall Bethnal Green, scene of his
the
previous
blue
Southern Area
corner,
title defeat.
unbeaten with 6 wins, 1 by way of knockout and 2 draws. Also weighing in 9 stone 4 pounds, and tonight he wears the green shorts with white trim. Please welcome from Camden Town, London, Numan Hussain. Your referee, Mr. Mark Bates, will now give his final instructions.
Okay, gentlemen, when I tell you to break, you take a step back immediately. Put your punches up, obey my command to protect yourself at all times.
Quite a
Ladies
lot
and
of
gentlemen,
Numan
10
Hussein's
3-minute rounds for the Southern
career
Area Super Featherweight
has
Championship.
been played out here at the York Hall Bethnal Green. The thriller against Frank Arnold in February was at the Harrow Leisure Centre. But back here he comes, where he turned pro tonight, Hussain, to try to grab the glory and grab the Southern Area title. Bring it across London to North London to Camden Town. Caswell down 4 times as he lost to Michael Webber-Kane for this title here last year from Chatham in Kent. That's a lot of baggage for me to carry into this, Darren, tonight. Do you think he can put it behind him?
I think he can, but my first observation, Paul, is this is a bit of a who can land first contest. These two already look well matched, and in both aspects, in terms of speed and in their technical ability. And Hussain confident there as he just shrugs off a couple of those double jabs from Caswell. And both fighters fight for the centre of the ring.
He's not always been perfect, but to me the most intriguing element of this is rather echoing the previous point to a degree. Caswell has had at least one really bad night so far in his career. Hussain on his good nights, to me, has looked very good indeed. They've not all been good nights, but he seems to have the better career profile before tonight. So this makes it a big turning point now for Caswell. The amazing thing about Hussain, of course, is that he was such a late starter in the game in the first place.
Boxing just has a habit of...
And he touches down Caswell, the short right hand on the inside. Caswell again touches down 4 times last time round, and down inside the first, 2 minutes of the return tonight. Are the demons still running around inside his head? Very casual, and he's hurt, I think, by that body shot on the inside. Hussain is in the groove already.
We said in the opening 30 seconds or so, this seems to be a battle of who's going to land first, and there was the first significant shot which landed, and Hussain is going for it now.
Caswell has height and reach advantage. He's very tall for a super feather at 5'11". But at the moment he's looking tailor-made for Hussain.
It was a great right hand it was, and Numan timed that perfect. It was a perfect punch.
Wasn't bad for a man who's actually won only once inside the distance. Sharp jab from Caswell. That's got to be his biggest friend here tonight, surely. That's better.
He throws that jab well, and he throws it with some conviction as well. The problem he's got is it's not putting Hussain off.
What a start. Memories of so many great days here over the years watching fights like this, and if I may just echo the moments before the fight got underway and before we get into the real meat of this, we just want to pay our own tribute from Box Nation, everybody involved in it, and I know Queensberry Promotions would want me to do the same, to the family of James Cook and all his friends, his many, many friends. What an honour it was to have known a man like that. Top fighter, and he'd relish a job like this tonight in either corner. Well done to Caswell for coming through a first round crisis there. And we're watching closely in the Caswell corner. He looks a little bit perturbed to me. Darren, what do you say about Caswell?
I think from the body language of Caswell, he just started to try and get behind that jab again, but then Hussain got through with another right hand, and he kind of looked like he was wondering why it wasn't working. And I think he'll have to suss out that he's going to have to do a bit more than get behind that very nice jab of his.
At the moment, it looks like Hussain has really come on for being in a big and spectacular fight with Frank Arnold. And Arnold very unlucky, of course, with the injury story behind his absence. Should have been a rematch, of course, and would have been one to really get the public going in London.
That was a good fight. I was there that night. It was a great fight.
Enthralling 10-rounder. This is certainly exciting early on.
This is what these area level fights bring up. This is a world title to some people, and a moment they'll never ever forget. For the neutral sake, it'd be good to see Caswell get back in it, but Hussain looking that 10-15% more confident and separating the pair of them.
That's decent enough work from Caswell for me, but what happens next? He backs off, tries to set himself to get the jab going, but Hussain's onto him, and when he lets Hussain onto him, that's when his problems start, I think, Casey.
I mean, look, he got to drop the first round. He should be aiming, his corner should be telling him to go in, win in the second and third round. It was like, same as me, when I got dropped for on the first round for the world title, I came into the corner, my corner was like, you got to win it the next few rounds to just build your confidence back up and tell your opponent that you're still into the fight. And that's what he's got to do. He's got to prove that he's still in the fight.
And the way to do it is to use another old phrase, given what he's got as a jab, as a weapon, first and third boxing will help him here. But there's not enough of that from Caswell.
No, not enough. I think it's the corner mans have to tell him.
I just think Caswell is fighting the wrong type of fight at the moment.
Exactly that.
He's tall, he's rangy, and he's trying to throw shots on the inside, those body shots and uppercuts, and he's playing right into Numan Hussain's hands.
Definitely.
Great shot by Numan. Yeah, he's in a wrong range. I mean, he's in a range where Numan can throw that perfect right hand. He's got to be either too far or very close.
He's also quite good, Hussain, at covering up when he needs to, isn't he?
He's got great counter punches.
You know, and to go back to the preceding fight, that is the kind of thing we're talking about. Those are the tricks of the professional trade. You get a telling off, but hey, welcome to the fairness.
Winners always find a way to win. A moment ago, Caswell looked at his corner and gave him a bit of a smile and a wink just to say, I'm okay.
He was actually at that when they came out for the second round, Caswell, as if to say, all right, well, that's your round, but this is a restart. And it's a good back and forth round, this. Hussain looks the more threatening, slightly would appear to be the boss, but Caswell has had some moments of success, and Caswell's much more pleased with himself.
Yeah, Caswell's got to watch out for the right counter from Numan, because Numan is great at defending the right from Caswell, and then he comes back with a great right hand. And I think if they don't find a way to stay away from Numan's right hand, he's going to get caught later on. He's going to get dropped.
It's going to happen again, isn't it?
Yeah.
He looks very, very confident tonight, Numan Hussain.
He's always had a bit of a confident strike around him, but I guess the recent fights have really spurred him on.
Yeah, man, he's been wanting the Southern area title for a very long time. He's been working hard, and he told me yesterday he wants to be mixed in the big title fights, and this is where he has to start from.
What was his mood on the eve of the fight?
Yesterday he was very excited, he was very excited, and he was very confident. He goes, I need this title, and from this on I want the bigger titles, more bigger titles, and I want to challenge.
And did he feel stylistically Caswell was made for him?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, let's see if he's right or wrong. Fast start from Numan Hussain. Caswell seeking to show everybody watching with us on Box Nation's YouTube channel that he can box with Hussain. That's his way into this fight, I think, Darren, if he can get into that rhythm.
Well, Caswell seems to have adapted his style a little bit. He isn't sitting in the pocket like he was before, and he is getting behind that jab, and that was nice, that jab, backhand, uppercut.
It's bubbling nicely, isn't it? I say again, this place and fights like this just go together perfectly for the Southern Area Super Featherweight title.
It's that overhand right which Hussain throws, which Caswell's got to be so careful of, because of all shots he throws it brilliantly, but then there was that nice left hook which landed as well.
And that left hook was a counter. See those right hand, all counter shots that landed very clean.
Stiff right hand counter. Almost going back, he threw that one. Mark Bates steps in quickly. Jab, jab, they say to Caswell in the corner. He actually didn't jab in that last exchange. Needs to. Hussain stands his ground. It looks to me, Casey, like inside that, especially the right hand, he's making a tight fist, ready to throw it all the time.
Oh yeah, he's timing that right hand. He's waiting for it.
Look for the uppercut there.
Caswell definitely having more success with that jab now. It's getting through more often than it isn't.
It's a good fight, isn't it?
Oh, it's a great fight for Southern Area title.
Hussain hasn't quite got on top, hasn't quite hit the groove in this round so far, round 3. Gumshield has come out. They're calling the attention of the referee to that in the Caswell corner. He hasn't seen it yet. On we go. Now he's spotted. The Caswell Gumshield for the record.
It always amazes me how often a gum shield comes out.
Please don't. Have you been told to wind Dempsey up about the gum shield thing in boxing?
I might have.
It's my absolute #1 pet hate. So I'll just... Shall I bore everybody again? No, this fight's too good. I think only once in a round should he be allowed to replace it. Anyway, I really believe that. I'm sorry, but I believe that. Hussain trying to get to work at close quarters. The little stoppage for the gum shield didn't help him. And Caswell's come through that round in quite good style.
He did, but if I'm the scoring judge on that round, I'm finding that one quite difficult to score, because I feel that both fighters did some good work there. They both did some different work. But that was an even round for me.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, it was a close round. They both landed some great shots. They both win in the fight, so...
Hussain is on his feet still in the corner at the other side of the ring.
seconds. Seconds out, round 4.
Such a fast start tonight for Hussain, and trying to replicate that, not with the same amount of success, in all honesty, at the start of the third and now the fourth round. And Caswell is happy to try to pen Hussain in on the rope. Hussain was aware of that, got out of it, harm's way. But just at the moment, guys, I think he's losing his rhythm a little bit, Hussain.
I feel like when Hussain watches this bout, regardless of what the outcome is, he'll kick himself a bit that he allowed Caswell to get back into the fight like he has, because he was on top by quite a considerable amount at one point, and then he allowed him to have a confidence boost, and he hasn't been as successful since.
And here we are with Caswell using his height to say, do you know what, I am actually the boss at close quarters. So let's see now if Hussain from the middle of the ring could start to get it flowing again. The right hand looked like it was going to be the decisive weapon in the early part of this fight. We haven't seen him unload it for a while. He's going for it there, isn't he? Big time. I could see that coming at the back of the hall, actually. So Caswell has given himself a foothold in the fight, but the next big question strategically for Robert Caswell is, can he turn that into points on the board? Can he turn the fight his way? He's lost on a night like this before.
Well, Caswell has gone back to fighting more on the inside here. He was doing a really good job of keeping it long in the previous round and about half of the one before that. But there we go, as he makes an entrance, he gets caught with that right hand again, and that's why I think he's got to keep it long and keep to those straight shots.
Little twist in the plot in this round at least. Normally sparks fly off that right hand, and Numan Hussain now seeks to end this round showing us that. Caswell stays on the inside, out of harm's way to a degree for the moment anyway. The squat figure of Hussain, powerful, much smaller man, explosive, long and rangy Caswell, but prepared to mix it. That's a good sign. If I were a Caswell fan, I'd be happy with that. And a little look at each other respectfully. What did you see?
For me, I think he just needs to find the balance there, does Caswell. No harm in mixing it up like he has been and standing in the pocket, because he does have some success at that, doesn't he, Casey? But with his style and with the height advantage, maybe 80% of the time, he needs to just be behind those straight shots, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if I was in his position, that's what I would have done. I'll stay far away, and then I'll only start throwing the simplest punches, which is jab and backhand, from a range that I'm comfortable with. But Numan needs to close in the gap and start looking for that right counter and bring the fight to him. And I think that's where Numan...
Is that how he brings the fight back into his own way, is by bringing the fight to him?
Yeah, I think that will be advantage for Numan, yes.
Round 5.
Numan's doing great inside.
Hussain grabbing the centre of the ring. Caswell trying to grab the initiative away from him. He's tried to mix it up, as Darren has said. Had partial success doing it. Hussain hasn't quite landed the shots to follow up on the early advantage in this fight so far.
Earlier on we spoke about fighters having the ability to have a round off but still winning a round, but you just can't do that with a fighter like Robert Caswell, because the tempo's too high and he kind of the ferociousness of his punches as he comes forward just doesn't allow you to win it on the defensive back foot.
And I think the reason also is, Darren, because when he knows it, you know, it was probably a 10-8 round, right? The first round, he's thinking to himself, I need to be asserting myself all the time. And he looks a much better fighter for me when he is doing that, actually, Caswell. Just sitting on the outside, everybody can see he's got a good left jab, he's got a bit of poise about him, but is he going to win in championship fights? No, he has to be prepared to mix it up, and in spells tonight he's doing that quite well. It's a terrific fight, by the way. But is Caswell actually doing enough?
A question mark flying around my head at the moment is the energy levels of these guys if we get to rounds 8, 9 and 10, because they're both putting a lot of effort and a lot of enthusiasm into these opening rounds.
Yeah, that should not be an issue for Hussain. He's been in really hard 10-rounder with Frank Arnold. Not much similar experience for Caswell before tonight. But the output, the volume and the intent from Caswell is good. He's right in it as we head toward the halfway point.
But there was a moment earlier on when he found himself on the canvas for a short while where we thought he may well not be in it, but he certainly got himself back into it, and he's done some good work since then.
Just got his head out of harm's way, but
and there goes the gum shield again.
Yeah, there goes the gum shield, but he very nearly ate that uppercut right on the point of the chin. Just slid off him slightly. It's a good job it did. It was a good shot from Hussain, who still looks the more destructive puncher.
Good body shot. Good.
Not a second to lose, literally so for Caswell, he knows that. Must be the end of the round, it is now the end of the round. Hussain, body language is still very positive indeed, he thinks he's winning, but my expert co-commentators, I'm now going to ask you who you think is winning. Darren, to you first. Halfway.
I'm probably going to give it to Numan Hussain, edging it ever so slightly, but there's been some difficult rounds to score. What about you, Casey?
Yeah, I mean, like that as well. I mean, I have got Hussain ahead by a round or two. I mean, the fight's close. It all depends on what judges see, but I see right now I've got Numan ahead.
Mark Bates is the scoring official, the referee tonight. Steve Broughton leading the corner. Seems to do a real good trade in that part of North London, the Camden Town area. Numan Hussain from Camden Town. Living up to our hopes for it, certainly. Live on Box Nation YouTube channel tonight. Into the second half of this 10-rounder. For the Southern Area title, as Darren has said earlier, it means the same as a world title to these two guys. And it will open a lot of doors for a good payday. Whoever goes home with the belt tonight, of course nobody went home with the belt the last time it was contested by Hussain and Arnold.
I feel like Caswell's doing a good job of drawing Hussain in. He kind of lowers that left hand, invites him in. Hussain comes in, but he doesn't capitalise on it. He doesn't throw that right hand. And when he does, it's just a little bit too late.
Through a decent left uppercut off balance there, Hussain. Slightly more effective, I would say, so far in this round, Hussain. So far, we're not even halfway through it yet. Caswell's got a lot of supporters here tonight. Well, they both have, actually, and I would say generally the noisier are the Hussain supporters. But Caswell has got lots of expert advice being chucked around the arena, through the air at him. A lot of it surrounding being first with the jab. We've said that repeatedly from our perspective. If he can be first, a lot of good things can happen for him. But he's shown, can I use this phrase, he's shown his minerals at close quarters, hasn't he?
He has.
Caswell. And that's a real plus for him tonight.
And Caswell, I've said it once or twice already, he needs to just make sure he's fighting his type of fight and not Hussain's type of fight. The thing is Hussain's type of fight is a lot more entertaining.
And explosive. They keep on telling Caswell to work with him, work with him. Hussain has started the second half of this fight in determined mood. He's not going to find the highlight reel moment as he did at the start of the fight, but that's a very good way to start the hard rounds, for me, for Hussain.
These are tough rounds. These rounds are taking a bit out of it. They're taking chunks out of each other, aren't they?
Oh, 100%. And getting punched like this. I mean, being in a hard fight takes a lot out of you. With me, when I've been involved in any title fight, I try to get hit less as much as I can so that I can go on to my next title fight, because as I go on forward, more harder fights present itself, more harder opponent present itself, and I want to be, my head got to be in the right place. You don't want to be punch drunk later in your career, and I think this kind of fight takes a lot out of you. It's great for the fans, but for the fighters, at this stage, I think you don't want to take this kind of punishment.
I think you make a great point, Casey. Over the years, I've seen many of these 10-rounders at this level all around the UK, whether it's southern area, central area, really hard fights which do stay with the participants. But it's what it means to these guys, and it underlines what all you guys do for a living, which makes you special.
100%.
And now Hussain starts to load up. I think he's been quite buoyed up by a good sixth round, as if to say, right, I've seen the best of this kid now, and I'm going to take over. So let's see what Caswell's got to say about that.
Hussain's one of these fighters who just fights fire with fire, isn't he? It's the type of fight which he likes, and the team might not like him fighting that type of fight, but that's just the character and the personality that he is. And it goes exactly the same when you go to the opposite corner, because Robert Caswell has proved that he loves fighting fire with fire, and that's why we've got such a great contest on our hands.
Wasn't giving ground there so much as making space for himself, Hussain. But Caswell read it, moved on to him. Work him, they say. From Hussain's point of view, I think what you just said is again tonight, Darren, on the money. Broughton knows what he's got to work with, but at the end of the day, he has to let Hussain fight the fight that Numan Hussain wants to fight. This kind of fight. He wants a war. That's what he wants. He's loving it.
He's
see?
getting it. Look at the smiles.
This is Arturo Gatti land here, boys. Now we have a stoppage.
Don't think Mark Bates is very happy with that. He'd called break, but to be fair, it's extremely loud in here.
Back they go to it. They're starting to really test each other's will. Still a long way to go in this fight as well, by the way.
Both fighters just landed really solid shots there. Oh, and another.
Caswell took it well. Seemingly enjoying it. I'm not sure we'd agree with that, but the blood is truly up here now.
I remember speaking to Frank Warren about York and he described it as a bubbling cauldron. And my goodness, is it a bubbling cauldron this evening?
Again, I will say there's been good moments for Caswell in this round. Just perhaps an impression that Hussain is shading it on work rate, work load, that's to say the tonnage that's actually being landed with these shots, and he thinks he's just edging clear.
But as that round went by no means am I saying that Caswell wasn't landing any good work, because he absolutely was landing some good and some solid work there. But Numan Hussain was just doing a little bit more of it, for me, in my opinion.
I agree 100%. Numan was doing a bit, was landing the better shot.
Let's look at the body language of both these guys. One stood up, taking deep breaths. The other sat down.
And another way of perhaps summing it up, to follow on from your points there, guys. How many times has Caswell hurt Hussain? Hard to think of too many occasions. Caswell's been down and he's been on the end of some quite heavy artillery.
Seconds out, round 8.
3 to go. If he is in the lead, it's not yet a winning lead, that's for sure, for Hussain.
I tell you what, this is one of those fights I actually really want to see go to the scorecards. I don't want it to end. I'll happily watch all 10 rounds.
They want Caswell to keep the pace high.
What a great shot by Numan.
Yeah, it is. In the Hussain corner there, just basically saying, right, we've let the dog off the leash here. On you go. Fight the fight you want to fight. He loves it, doesn't he, Hussain?
Hussain telling his corner, the Castle's corner to throw in a towel.
Don't see that anytime soon.
We spoke about that overhand right of Hussain's, and he's landed it about 3 times in this round so far, and only just over a minute's gone.
He's really going for it, you're right. Maybe he senses that Caswell is weakening a little bit physically. I don't know.
It's all mental warfare. I mean, he's doing it. He's beating his corner. He wants to beat his casual or mentally and physically. So you gotta do everything.
One thing we know about Caswell, though, is earlier on in the fight, he did have rounds which he lost, but he's shown that he can come back into it. So there's no reason why he can't. But he has been hit with some big shots in this round. And you wonder how much that's dented his confidence and his spirit.
Just sense a slight weakening in Caswell. May only be temporary, of course. Minute to go in the 8th round. These are hard rounds. And they will stay with the two fighters concerned, that's for sure. In truth, so far, for all Caswell's good work, and there's been lots of it, Hussain has not really been in trouble. Not yet. But I wouldn't want to see him switching off. That's for sure. Absolute bundle of energy. Still got that explosive athletic ability. Caswell doesn't quite look so well organised now. Hussain wants him to come to him. Caswell's backing away. So Hussain pursues him across the ring. Lands the right hand. Caswell seeking to respond, but I think he's quite glad to hear the bell at the end of that round.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think Caswell, he doesn't just need to match the energy in terms of punches and the attack against Hussain, but he needs to show him that he is confident as well, because at the moment The confidence is oozing out of Numan Hussain, and he feels like he's won it already.
Darren, there was just a little moment there where I thought, watching Caswell as we review the action, here he is, I thought this could be near the finish. So they're looking now to check. There's 2 rounds to go. I think that little moment of crisis, Casey, in the corner, I think it's past now. I think he will be resolved to go on. Do you?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, it's championship round. Who doesn't want to?
Exactly. And he deserves the chance to get to the finish.
I mean, if you
for
get
sure.
off from first round and fight
absolutely,
him now, you 100% deserve to go to the
he
end.
looks okay again now. But there was one of those dark moments, and you know what they are like. So now it's around 9. Caswell's given a great account of himself tonight. Hussain, so close first time round against Frank Arnold. He's come tonight to make sure that the Southern Area belt resides in North London in Camden Town at the end of this. He started this round the boss. Caswell needs to get going again, needs to get in the groove.
Caswell landed a good left hook on the far side of the ring there, and a smile lifted his energy ever so slightly. And he needs to land another couple of those to bring that spirit up and get himself back into the fight.
Maybe a big factor now here, guys, though, is that Hussain has been through this against Frank Arnold. He knows what it's about. 10 hard rounds. He looks so confident to me. That alone won't win him the fight. He's got to keep at it. But he's chipping away, chipping away. That's a really solid right hand. And he's ready to go again. Nice left, which Caswell rather lent into. These are all scoring shots and hurtful shots, moreover, from Hussain.
And I think if last week with Fabio Wardley showed us anything, it doesn't matter how tired or hurt or exhausted a fighter looks, one punch can change it all. So as confident, as happy as Hussain is in there, he seriously needs to keep his wits about him.
You're right, we've seen it tonight already, haven't we? In the light heavyweight fight, the second of the 2. Caswell's not getting the flow going in this round. Every time he sets to go to work, it looks like Hussain is that bit fresher and sharper. The swelling is rising quite quickly underneath the left eye of Caswell as well. That's not going to help him get out the way of the right hands, is it?
Well, this round for me has been a theme of who wants it more, and you can just see the energy of Numan Hussain as he skips towards him, and he really does want it more. He's showing the referee that, and he's showing everybody inside York Hall that as well.
Yeah, I believe at this point, Hussain he knows that he's ahead, and he's showing to everyone that he's ahead, why he's ahead.
Caswell really needs a big finish to this round to have any hope of turning the round his way, for me. It's just not happening at the moment, guys, is it? He's been hunted throughout this round by Hussain. This is one of the best rounds for Hussain for me so far tonight.
A very dominant round, I believe, yes.
And I know he'll celebrate. He was actually on the way to celebrate before the bell went. And that's how confident he is he's going to get it done here tonight.
An observation there is the last 15 seconds or so, it was Hussain who was on the attack still. But Caswell he's still got feet, he's still got his legs beneath him. He's still moving around, he's still using them to defend himself. I don't think he's out of this fight at all. He does look beaten up and battered.
The hardest moment for me was coming back to the stool after the last round, because there were still 2 hard rounds ahead. I think he's over that little hump now, and he deserves to be. He's been really good tonight, Caswell. But yeah, I think there's a collective view that he's going to need a stoppage probably in this last round.
Oh yeah, I mean, at this point, Hussain is ahead by a lot, and I believe, yeah, Kaz really needs a stoppage to get the victory. But he's showing heart and determination, you know, getting off from first round and going in from last. I believe he deserves it. Going into the last round.
On the back of Steve Broughton's t-shirt, it reads "Better late than never." So that's pretty apt for Hussain, isn't it? Second time, so close first time, wasn't to be for him. He's surely now within 1 round of finally grabbing the Southern Area Super Featherweight title. And he's put on a really good performance so far. Here we go then.
What a great left hook it was.
Most of the really stinging, telling shots all night long in this fight have come from Numan Hussain. There's no getting away from that. Caswell has boxed really well in patches, and he's been brave, and he's been willing to mix it up, sometimes to his detriment, but I just do not know if he has put enough points on the board.
The eye-catching work, the solid shots which have really snapped the head back of Caswell have come from Numan Hussain over and over again. And Caswell is boxing in this round like he's well and truly up on the cards, the way he's kind of dancing around the perimeter of the ring. He can't afford to be doing that in the 10th and final round. He's got to go for broke.
It's a terrific Southern Area title fight in the great tradition, a very long tradition, in this great venue, which has seen so many of them. And of course, in the old days, what we'd get if it does go to the final bell is that the referee would walk to the winner and lift his hand. It's the other way round now. We're going to have to find, and then later we'd find out what the scoring was. Now it's the other way round, which delays that little bit of drama. But I think we've all got a feeling as to which way it's going. Manny's the man whose heart was broken in those days by going to the referee thinking, you're going to put my hand up, aren't you? And the answer was no.
Brutal.
Last minute. Caswell has enhanced his reputation no end with this show tonight. Don't know that that's going to be enough for him, though.
He's landed some shots in this round, but they're ones, and if he's lucky, he might just slip through with the second one, but he's just not enough. Not with that pressure, which is coming from Numan Hussain.
We've seen many a big title fight. We've seen one pro debutant tonight knocked down in the closing moments, so Hussain needs to be wary, not get overconfident, not start thinking about enjoying the fruits of his labours here. And it looks to me like he is razor sharp mentally here, focused on the finish line and nothing else.
And Caswell with that left eye bulging there, you can see he's been in a battle, but he's still there, bites down on his gum shield and still going for it. Tip of the hat to him, that's for sure.
Hussain has really been solid defensively in this last round. Brilliant, brilliant fight. Top draw from both of them. Everybody embracing each other in the great tradition of this hard sport. Well done all round. Caswell's played a massive part in it, but it looks like Numan Hussain is going to grab the glory. Darren.
Well, Caswell just kind of looked out to his fans there and punched the air. I think Numan Hussain's got this, probably by a couple of rounds. When we got to the halfway stage, for me, it was a very tight fight to score, and there were some close rounds. And I guess it'll be interesting to see what the score is, because those opening rounds will be quite telling them.
Casey.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great fight for a Southern Area title. Two great styles. One was a counter puncher, one was a range boxer, and that only made a great fight for the fans tonight. Apart from the first round, the rest, halfway up to the halfway, the round was very close, and from later rounds, Hussain dominated again. So I'm not going Hussain ahead, but I like to hear what the judge scored.
Everybody's standing and applauding both, and they deserve it.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for both boxers who gave their all. Ladies and gentlemen, your referee scores the contest at 96 points to 93. The winner and now the new Southern Area Super Featherweight champion is, in the blue corner from Camden Town, Numan Hussain. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the brave, gallant and talented Robert Caswell.
And twice
the
he's
belt
been
will now
forced to
be
go
presented
all the
by
way
Mr.
and
Des
go hard,
Paredes.
so nobody can say that he does not deserve it. It was an outstanding Southern Area title fight, and Robert Caswell emerges with so much credit as well. But that is a dream come true right there. That Southern Area title belt is going to Camden Town. Darren.
It's really hard to explain to people how this venue just seems to chuck these type of fights up over and over again. Goodness knows how many I've been lucky enough to see. But it's something about this place. There's some magic in the air. And that was, yet again, one of those York Hall classics, as we call them, which will be chucked into a reservoir of many.
Super featherweight Southern Area champion. How does that sound?
It sounds incredible. Long time coming.
A real scrap in there. Tough fight. You knocked him down early. He came back strong, but you got more and more confidence as the fight went along. And in terms of an opponent, what have you got to say about Robert?
Honestly, he's a hell of a fighter. I think he's an incredible opponent. We was obviously getting ready for a southpaw, and then I think 4 to 5 weeks prior, we was told he's retired, so we had a new opponent. And honestly, I thought Robert poses new challenges, and like totally different fighter. So full credit to him. Honestly, he gave me a hell of a fight.
English title opportunities next.
Absolutely. Whatever. I'm going up. He can have this.
Would you say that's the most confident you felt in a professional boxing ring?
Possibly. I don't know. I feel like there's more to give if I listen a little bit more and do as I'm told instead of just like taking a fight to the opponent. I could have made it a lot more easier, cleaner. But honestly, I get involved a little bit and I kind of enjoy it. So it's good to know I could do the two.
Let's bring in your manager quickly, Alfie Warren, new Southern Area champion. Alfie, how far can this man go?
Well, he's got the English title next, and that's it. You know, honestly, I'm so proud of him because every single fight, everyone writes him off, and he gets better and better. No one gave him a prayer against Arnold. I thought he won that one. You know, a lot of people in the trade as well really fancied Robert, but you know what? No one was going to beat him tonight. But fair play to Robert. He'll be back. He'll be champion as well because he's a very, very class fighter. And you know what? For Numan to beat a fighter like Caswell will prove everyone wrong. You know, we're going for the English next. Make sure he gets it, honestly. But, you know, he's a champion now alongside his wife, who's also a champion. It's in the family, and we're going to make sure we get that English for him.
And just quickly, a real old school, old-fashioned Southern Area title main event. It was a real tear-up for a lot of the fight, but Numan, towards the end, started to take control. Very, very confident in there.
He just got comfortable in there. But like I said, I don't think no one would have beat him tonight. Honestly, I just think, you know, after the Arnold draw, after Arnold pulling out as well, he was so bang up for that as well. And to have, you know, the replacement fighter come in, he just showed what a true professional he is. And you know what? If he retires with this, I'm so proud of him. But he's not going to just retire with that. He's going to retire with the English Championship around his waist. But after that, who knows? Let's see where we go. But I'm so proud of him.
So Numan Hussain, your new Southern Area Super Featherweight champion. Congratulations, Numan. Just to close out, we're going to bring in Dave Nelson. Dave, another fantastic Box Nation fight night here at York Hall.
What an amazing night that we've had tonight as well. The entertainment's been brilliant. The fans were amazing for it as well. And these Southern Area titles, this is what we want. This is what brings all the entertainment to the fans. It's been an absolutely amazing show already tonight, and I'm looking forward to what we've got in the pipeline.
So give us a quick rundown on the next show. We're in Liverpool next, July the 11th. Huge card there. Give us a bit of insight.
July the 11th, we're going back to the Olympia, the famous Olympia. You've got to think we've got Denzel Brown in there, we've got Kurt Wiggins, we've got the huge seller as well that we've got in Lewis Molyneux. So we've got some great boxers. Everton's own Sean Arkwright's going to be on there as well, Leighton Birchall. So we've got an amazing card. And the thing that we'll do, if you can't make it into the Olympia, we've got the production team, we've got the commentary, so we're able to bring you everything so you can follow it live on Box Nation. So what a card we have planned. We've got a few more things in the pipeline, so we'll be looking to entertain everyone.
A few surprises yet to come. Dave, thank you for joining us. So that's it from York Hall. Another Box Nation Fight Night is complete. We have the new super featherweight Southern Area champion in Numan Hussain. We'll see you at the next one.